Please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show presented by Better Sports Network. I'm Simon, and as the intro says, I'm joined by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo, and the one and only Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, boys?
What up?
Good morning,
Coop.
Good
Morning, Simon.
Good,
morning,
Coop. I
fellas.
just wanted to thank you for having a name that I can say with such emphasis. Like this early in the morning, I need a word that kind of like hits on the way out, right? Like Coop. It's got a hard
Throw it
sound at
down,
the beginning
bruh.
and the end. Like, man, what a
Gotta
nice
take a
name to
poop.
get to
It's
say
Coop.
early in the morning.
Oh, JL, you ruined it. We were doing so good there, and then we had made it so far on the show
My bad, guys.
without the
My
poop
bad.
talk. We were told to keep the poop talk to a minimum. It's been 1 minute.
1 minute, 30
It's
seconds
been
later.
1 minute.
Okay, guys, the Don't Talk About Poop for 3 minutes challenge starts now.
Poop.
We got Craig in here who said waking up with the
Poop.
FYF Morning Show makes for a better morning.
Good morning,
Aw,
Craig.
Yeah, with the play on words. It's
Craig.
beautiful. Tommy, what's up? Yo. Welcome to the show. And Jolly Rancher says, I agree. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate that down there.
That's your mom?
That's my mom. It's
Your
it's a
mom's Jolly
secret code
Rancher?
name. My mom's Jolly Rancher.
I
It's a
didn't know
secret code
that.
name. I just outed her live.
Wow,
She told me I could out her, though. I
dude.
asked her first. And we got
And
Maria down there saying good morning. Good morning, Maria.
My mom and I talked about your mom before we knew it was your mom.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you say nice things? You better have.
You said really nice things.
Okay, I was gonna say
That
you
Jolly
better have
Rancher's
said
so nice. Such a sweetheart.
such a sweetheart. Because we had some news updates yesterday in the NFL. First, Cleveland Browns running back Nick Chubb admits scoring late touchdown versus the New York Jets cost them the game. If you guys remember, Nick Chubb rushed in a touchdown with 35 seconds left, I believe. It was late in the game. We've seen players in situations like this go down at the 1 yard line, try to milk that clock as much as possible to put the Browns up 30-17. Coop, where do you stand on this? Should players have that kind of situational awareness to go down, not score the touchdown, or do you score if you're in that position?
We already have the gold standard for this situation. That's Maurice Jones-Drew. Maurice Jones-Drew did it. He came out, kneeled at the 2 yard line, got all the way down to the 2, kneeled, ended the game, and then he got up to the podium, and the very first thing he did was apologize to his fantasy owners. That is how you handle that situation perfectly. That's the gold standard of handling that situation.
So you know what, Nick Chubb? I get it. You're excited. You run into the end zone. It's the middle of a game. Of course, you try to score, but watch some Maurice Jones-Drew tape. Go back and watch those highlights. Watch the podium. Watch the press conference. And Tommy down here saying MJD gets it. Yeah, MJD gets it.
Get it,
That's
buddy.
the dude right there. We got an update on the Bills player that left the game injured, Dane Jackson. He was able to walk out of the hospital on his own. He was released from the hospital and walked out of his own free will on Monday night. So glad to hear that. That was a really scary situation, but we got good news on that front that he's at least walking of his own free will. There are now new players that are eligible for the Hall of Fame. Joe Thomas, Darrelle Revis, and Dwight Freeney lead the first-year eligible 2023 Pro Football Hall of Fame nominees. I am wildly biased, but Joe Thomas is one of my favorite football players of all time. And I don't know what it takes for an offensive lineman to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But, man, do you guys think there's a chance? Do you think Joe Thomas becomes a first balloter? I feel like he's pretty well loved and well respected for his time he spent in the NFL.
Speaking from a point of no actual knowledge at all, I think he's got a great shot.
That's a
Thanks,
smart.
JL.
That's a smart take.
That really makes me feel better.
You know what helps Joe Thomas is that he's always been willing to say what he feels, talk to the media. You know, the media seems to like him a lot, which is, I mean, I'll tell you, that's the difference between Terrell Owens being the first ballot Hall of Fame or not. Like, it's a it was a travesty that Terrell Owens wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. He was either second or third in basically every major stat, but because the media didn't like him, he didn't get in the first time around. So that does matter. As it shouldn't, but it does.
We've got Acosta in the chat saying, if Rivas isn't first ballot, I will riot in the streets. Coop, do you feel as strongly as Acosta down here about that?
Absolutely, man. I mean, the thing is, when you win a Super Bowl, it's not always like everyone likes to think that it's just Tom Brady, but not every one of those wins was Tom Brady. And that the one year where Rivas came here, he was an absolute hired gun, just shutting anyone down. That they were just like, go shut that guy down. Any game, Demaryius Thomas didn't matter. Like, so I think Rivas was that guy. You know, I know he spent a good chunk of his career chasing the money. I don't know if they care much about that when they vote, but that dude in his prime, as good as anybody.
Rivas first ballot. And getting the game, Tommy saying face of the Browns, writers vote. He is in. I hope so. And I think you're right. I think that helps. Maybe it also helps that he played all of his best years being like the best offensive lineman in the league with the worst team in the league. Like
I saw a crazy stat that in his entire career, Joe Thomas never won week one. Never won a week one game. They lost every single time to start the season.
That dude deserves a Super Bowl, not just a week one win. They couldn't even give him that. Just a week one win. All they had to do was beat their opponent in week one. That's incredible. That's incredible, isn't it? Just that's got to be. How many years did he play in the league? 10, 11?
He played 11 years and he was a Pro Bowler 10.
It's insane. That's absolutely insane. Albert in the chat. What's up, Albert? Good morning. And we got Fantasy Dog in the chat. Woof, woof. Welcome in.
Fantasy Hog, baby.
Squirrel Bob. And you're saying, what's up, Buttercups? How you cool cats and kittens doing this morning? Meow. Welcome in,
so much
Squirrel
better now.
Bob.
So much better now.
Kind of, I almost said milking me up this morning, but what's the word?
Milking me up.
Milking me up, dude. Yeah, there you
What's
go.
the right phrase?
That's a
Buttering
good one.
me up. It's
That
buttering
is a good one. Oh, man.
Hogs
Milking
out.
me up.
Hogs out. Milking me out.
Writing that one down.
Squirrel Bob coming in and just milking me up at 6:07 a.m. We got Jordan in the chat saying Jail's favorite person has entered the chat.
Hey, my guy.
Jail, Tommy wants to know, is that a Santa Claus blanket on your lap?
It's a Clemson blanket. Thank you for asking, though.
Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
Tigers.
You know what? All the cool kids put a blanket on their lap. Coop, you got one?
No, dude. I have a beard. I'm a grown man. I don't have a blanket.
Fair.
I don't have a blanket.
That's fair.
Well, I'm
maybe I'll
comfortable.
get one.
So
now that I've seen you guys,
My toesies are warm, so
I might have to get one.
suck it.
My tootsies are cold.
Tommy, that's where I draw the line. That's where I draw the line. I'm not going Ron Burgundy on that one, and that's where we cross that line.
Oh my god!
We just learned that the Monday night doubleheader.
Hey, we won the poop challenge.
Right, we did it for a whole 7 minutes, JL. We won the poop challenge.
Although I did say poop immediately after it started.
You did,
but
it hadn't officially started yet.
Right, everyone knows there's a delay on when things actually start for the television. It's the magic of television.
Milking me up. I just had to write that down in my notebook. Those words.
The real phrase is butter me up, right? Like someone butters you up.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely not what you said.
Yeah,
definitely not milking me up.
There's probably a lot of varieties of it, and what you said is not one.
Trying to think, milking me up doesn't even really make sense. That would just really be gross. We learned that the Monday night doubleheader produced 20.6 million total views during the overlap. Titans Bills on ESPN averaged 7.9, and Vikings Eagles on ABC averaged 12.9 million viewers. Let me just ask you guys, what did you think about the Monday night doubleheader? 2 games going on at once for a bit there. Did you enjoy it, or do you prefer the one Monday night game?
I prefer the one at a time. I already have a hard time keeping my attention on one thing. So having 2 games is kind of annoying.
Yeah. What about you?
We have the Fantasy Besties at 7:00. Me, Jordan Loops on that show. Kevin Tompkins, and so having a game on during our show kind of hampered us. Although some of the gang was in there yucking it up, so it wasn't too bad. But I prefer just the one game.
I was in there for a bit.
Yeah,
I was a bestie for a while.
You guys thought
it was
Is that what you call the chat? The besties?
We actually
Or is it
also
just people in the show?
we actually also call them hoglets.
Hoglets.
I just because
Universal term. It's
just universal term for anyone in the chat.
Yeah.
I hated
Milking
the double
me
Monday
out.
night game. I get so stressed whenever I feel like my favorite thing about Monday, Thursday, and Sunday night football is that everyone and myself is all just focusing on the same game. Know what I mean? Like it's fun. I avoid Twitter during like the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock game blocks because I don't know, people are seeing things that I haven't seen yet because I'm watching highlights while I'm watching other games.
Like a
But
freaking fire hose, man.
exactly, it's hard to keep up with. But on Sunday nights and Monday nights, like it's fun to see everyone's live reactions to the same game and we're all watching the same thing at the same time. And like it's a cool feeling. And I feel like it's special. And this kind of makes it a little bit less special. It's like you're choosing. And like some people have fandom, so they're going to watch the worst game, even though everyone wants to watch the better game. I just like that special feeling of one game that we're all watching together. Jordan says it really-
Twitter on Sunday is like that gif of the dude on the beach, like trying to like with a broom, trying to like sweep the water back into the ocean. Have you seen that one? Like that's like what Sunday Twitter. It just feels like
That is
complete
100% 1 p.m. Sunday Twitter.
right.
And I always love the tweets from an account that doesn't have like a team name in their title or their description that's like, you absolutely have to go for that there. And it's like, there's 8 games going on. I have no idea what you're talking about. None. Like, and not only are there 8 games going on, 80% of us are watching it on a streaming platform, which means we're all going to be somewhere between like 5 and 90 seconds separated from each other in our viewing experience. So like,
Yeah.
even if we're watching the same game, I probably have no idea what you're talking about. Nonsense. Mike Vrabel said coaching changes are not going to happen right now. Offensive coordinator Todd Downing's status was the main subject of those questions. The Titans have scored 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks. You guys think there are coaching changes coming for the Titans, that this is just Mike Vrabel saying what he's got to say until that happens? Or do you think it's just been a tough first couple of weeks for them?
I think it's just been a tough couple of weeks. I would be surprised if Mike Vrabel was already on the hot seat.
Well, not Vrabel's saying that there have been talks about changing the offensive coordinator up. I think Vrabel himself is probably fine. Yeah, he's good. But yeah, I don't know. It is a reactionary league, is it not? Like
It is.
You can get fired pretty quickly out here, especially if you're. But then again, Urban Meyer made it like 7 games, dude, being a complete moron. So I don't know. I think 2 games is probably a little early, but I mean that's laying the groundwork for a mid-season change. Comments like that.
Yeah. Even though he said we're not making a change, he said right now. It's like the yet. Like he left that door open, but we're not making any changes right now. But we'll see how another week goes. As someone who's drafted Derrick Henry in a couple leagues, I hope they do make changes soon. I hope they change something because something's not working right there. We got news that Marlon Mack was signed to the 49ers active roster. Marlon Mack elevated.
All right, Marlon.
All right.
JL, you and Marlon riding together?
Yeah. It's just no one's going to give Marlon Mack hype. You know, I just figured I'd be the guy because who else is doing it?
A little yeehaw for Marlon.
Well, yeehaw for Marlon.
Smash that fun button for Marlon Mack.
All right, Marlon.
Giddy up, Marlon.
Giddy up now, Marlon. The 49ers.
Forward. I think we turn into like a
We turned into
train conductor in Georgia.
the old timey fantasy football prospecting. I was
That's
down
exactly
there.
what I was thinking was
I was
So
down there at the waiver wire looking for some fantasy prospects.
Can I get a bid?
Can I get a? He just switched it right over to like like a Southern like Baptist. Can I get a Marlon Mack?
It just slowly changes. It's like what's that awful movie with the guy who changes characters? Master of Disguise. Just like the truly terrible movie.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
JL, go back and watch it. I'm pretty sure it's problematic. It's one of those movies
Opening
that
scenes in Sicily.
it's one of those ones that I don't think ages well. Like if you watch it now, you're like, yeah, they probably wouldn't make that movie anymore. If you go back and watch it.
Have you gone back and watched it, even though you believe it's a terrible movie?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Just to confirm.
Just
you know what movie does hold up?
Priors confirmed.
I'd put another movie in the same tier that 100% holds up. Kangaroo Jack. Kangaroo Jack is still a watchable movie. That movie, you can go turn that one on and watch it anytime with that absolutely killer kangaroo. Tommy in here saying, I want you guys on a porch on rocking chairs with your blankets. Front porch fantasy. We can probably make that happen, though it may not be our front porch. I think we'll have to do it live from the Cracker Barrel. And we'll just sit in the rocking chairs and eat dumplings. Yeah. Eat cornbread and dumplings.
This little tea game, the little, golf tea game.
Yeah.
What it's called.
There's one right near my house. You guys want to come on up? Come on up this way. Yeah. And then Simon, you could do the show an hour earlier. You'd be asleep in a little bit.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. That's how it works, right? Especially if it's there my first day. All of a sudden my body suddenly adjusted to the new clock. I believe it's how it works every time.
Exactly how it works.
Exactly how it works.
Especially if you drive. You won't be tired at all.
If I drive?
If you drive in general. If you have a license.
If you drive,
that's how it works.
Yeah. If you have a license and then you fly, then yeah, you won't be tired. But
you definitely won't be tired.
All right, let's get this back on the rails here.
We got an update on Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys owner. Jerry Jones said Dalton Schultz knee injury could keep him sidelined for only 1 week. Just for only 1 week. So hopefully it's just a short-term injury for Dalton Schultz. But why does Jerry Jones, I feel like every time he gives a medical opinion, it's like he's not listening to the doctors. It just sounds like he's giving his best guess. Know what I mean? Like, it doesn't sound like an informed opinion at all. Just like, 1 week, he'll be fine. He's
twisted his whirly wag. He'll be back.
Yeah, Jerry Jones is like, here's what I think I want to happen.
Guys, we've got a lot coming up. We're going to be talking about some NFL teams that we're a little bit worried about. And then we're hitting some player props that we may like for this week. We're going to play some games a little bit later today, hypothetically, and maybe some match game. And then our friend Alex Korf, a.k.a. Peaked in High School, is coming on with us. And we've got beat writer Luke Johnson joining the show later today as well. You're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Collectible moments.
Everybody up here at U.S. Cellular. Sox 5 runs, 6 hits. The 2-1 to Bartlett. Swing, chop to short. Ramirez has it, throws. Burley picks a perfect game. His second no-hitter. People going crazy here at U.S. Cellular. He's mobbed by his teammates. A perfecto.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right up, 1 second left. What a play by Bird. Bird stole the impounding pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up and in. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left.
Out of the I formation on first down. Peterson to carry, looking for running room on the right side, has it to the 25, across the 30, across the 35, and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Adrian Peterson has just gone over 2,000 yards for the season, the 7th man in NFL history to cross the 2,000-yard mark.
Well, a thundering ovation for number 66, Mario Lemieux.
Just the emotion I'm sure Mario is feeling in this place. You don't appreciate something until it's gone, and it's so great to have Mario back.
Yager turns around. Over to Lemieux. Mario Lemieux, his first goal in his comeback here tonight at the Mellon Arena. And the Penguins lead 3-0, and he is smiling like a butcher's dog. Mario Lemieux.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. The Bears have scored, but the Bands are out on the field.
Pearson moves in front of the STP Dodge. Petty comes back to the inside. They almost touch as they move down low in the banking. They're going to be side by side as they exit the bank and head for the finish line.
Richard Petty goes back in front. They both spin. They're in the wall. Petty is sliding, slamming into the wall. He's coming down toward the finish line. Will he make it? Pearson is still running. The winner is car number 21. An amazing finish. Richard Petty's car demolished in the front end, as well as car number 21. An unbelievable finish, a terrible crash. David Pearson has won the Daytona 500. Leitner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Leitner has hit the bucket at the buzzer! Pitched by Downing, swinging, there's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7-15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
The most valuable player is Magic Johnson. 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. He starts at center, plays forward and guard, and leads the Los Angeles Lakers to a world championship 123-107 over Philadelphia.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips? Talk about it on Better Sports Network.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. And I swear, every time we hear those same commercials, the same breaks, right? But I pick up on new little phrases. And Coop, I saw your face on the one that I heard today. Like, I heard it, and then immediately your face reacted, and I was like, thank God I'm not the only one who heard that. The happy as a butcher's dog. I had
the same thought. I was like, what the heck does that mean?
That's a great saying, dude. Honestly, I'm going to start mixing that in, just like use it as often as I use milking me up.
milking me up like a butcher's dog.
Dude,
like a butcher's dog. San Francisco 49ers, Marlon Mack.
Coop, this is going to start happening when we spend 3 hours today every morning. These are like, you know how like when you're first born, those are your formative years, like all the things that go into your brain really affect. I think these are our formative hours for the day. Like we're slowly becoming like the same person as the day progresses because we spend these formative hours of the day together.
I'm going to be on my bachelor party this weekend, you know, on the other side of the country. Just be like, stop milking me up, bro. And they'll be like,
milk me up, bro.
We got some more news, guys. Former Pittsburgh and Cleveland cornerback Joe Hayden is retiring. He will sign a one-day contract to retire as a Brown, per his sources. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, confirmed his client's decision. This one, I think we brought it up last week or a couple weeks ago, our first jerseys ever. A Joe Hayden Browns jersey was my very first NFL jersey. And then he went to the Steelers, and it was a harder jersey to wear, being a Browns fan, right? But now looks like I get to wear my Joe Hayden Browns jersey one more time. He's going to retire as a Brown at the Browns-Steelers game. So with the two organizations, they're going to have a little ceremony for him from his 12 years in the NFL. Those are the two teams he played for. Should be pretty cool. I hope hope all the fans are cool to him. The Steelers fans should be cool to him, right? Because even though he's retiring as a Brown, he spent the last so many years with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Are you going to dust off your jersey for one? You're going to bring it out of retirement for one day?
I'm bringing it out of retirement. It may be the one day this season I wear a Browns jersey. I'll bring it out of retirement just for this Sunday. Some Joe Hayden love. Shout out to the first NFL jersey that I got. It's time to talk about some teams that we are worried about after a couple weeks. There's quite a few of them that I think we could start with. Coop, is there one that you would like to start with? One team that you're very worried about? Because there's honestly 5 or 6 that we could probably throw out there.
I mean, dude, the number one team, I mean, like, so are these supposed to be good teams that we're worried about, or just like any team that we're like worried about what they're doing?
Maybe I'll throw out the first one. I think a team that we expected to maybe really have a shot at winning their division, possibly a playoff run with the addition of Matt Ryan, was the Indianapolis Colts. But they are now looking at 0-1-1 after getting shut out by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they're facing the Chiefs this week. So it's likely going to be an 0-2-1 start. What's the panic level for Colts fans?
Yeah, and I feel like when that tie comes against the Texans, it doesn't make you feel any better. That's a loss, right? Like that's definitely
how can they win the division now if in their first 2 games they've got a tie to the Texans and a loss to the Jaguars? That's a tough hole to dig yourself out of.
This is supposed to be such an easy start to the season.
I know, dude. And it's pretty rough when I mean, this is why, and I worry about the Bills with this as well. Like when your team is kind of top heavy and relies on certain pieces, then it can go off the rails really quickly if one of those guys get hurt. It used to happen to the Steelers all the time. The Steelers was Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. And every year one of those dudes would get hurt, and that's why they wouldn't win. Because that team could have won at any given time. But every single year somebody got hurt. It was usually Big Ben. But this team, it's like you saw what it looked like without Michael Pittman. Brutal, right? Like they have no pass catchers outside of him. And the Texans game, he did everything, right? So, that's what happens if you don't have that kind of depth. And if Jonathan Taylor goes down, God forbid, then they're just dust.
Yeah, I mean, we saw with no pass catchers there what the opposing defense was able to do to Jonathan Taylor, right? Like when there is literally zero threat from that passing game, they can just focus everything on Jonathan Taylor. That's the move right there. And then they get up big, and it kind of limits Jonathan Taylor's effectiveness and how they want to use him in that game. I'm worried about the Indianapolis Colts. Coop, do you think they are JL? We'll throw this one to you. Do you think they turn it around? Like, do you think this becomes maybe a middling team? I don't want to go as far as to say they have a winning record. Or do you think this is a team that's going to be picking in the like top 6 of the NFL draft? Like, are they down there with the Texans, the Jaguars, the Bears, whenever we're talking about bad teams?
No, top 6. I think that's a little too extreme. I think they're going to get healthy. I think Michael Pittman is likely to come back, and Matt Ryan is hopefully able to figure out this offense. You know, he's coming into a new system. He's Matt Ryan. He's not that good. He's been in the Atlanta Falcons system for so long, and so coming into a new system with all of these new variables around him, it's understandable that it's not quite working out the way that we expected. It's a harder thing to predict. I think that they have enough talent on that team that they'll even out.
See Squirrel Bob down here saying Colts will play amazing this weekend since they play the Chiefs. Colts always play to the competition. Is that a stereotype with the Colts like it is for the Ravens? Because I feel like for the Ravens, it's like every game's exciting no matter what. Is that something for the Colts as well?
When I hear that saying, the Ravens played last season, I went to that game. Maria and I went to that game, and that was
wild.
I think that certainly was evidence towards that argument, Simon. Both teams play to their competition.
And not to mention, like, the Colts were once the Ravens. Like, that was the team where they packed up the team and the band in the middle of the night and moved them to Indianapolis. So
true.
Could be the Baltimore curse. Both those teams got a little bit of that Old Bay play to your opponent on them, sprinkled on them, right?
It's the Old Bay curse.
The Old Bay curse.
Old Bay makes your food exciting, and the Old Bay curse makes your games exciting. But may not be great.
So delicious.
And then we got JB Barry in here saying their linebackers will win them games alone. They have stud linebackers.
Jack Leonard.
They're gonna
be coming back.
They're gonna need that defense to win them a couple games probably. Jordan saying the Jaguars have a legit chance to win that division. Yeah, I mean, we're not really talking about the Jaguars here as a team that we're worried about after 2 weeks. They could win that division. Coop, prediction. Who do you think wins that division?
I think that that is a tough one. I think the Jaguars, man, they look good, dude. They got best tight end in the league, Evan Ingram. Should be. I mean, Trevor Lawrence looks good. And I noticed, like, the chat is always, like, begging us to talk IDP. Jordan, Loop, Craig, JB. We're not going to do it. Maybe we should have maybe we should have a segment where those three come on and talk IDP, because those guys do know what they're talking about. All three of them do. So
I just love that they know what they're talking about. So they're going to go into another show and then just take over to talk amongst themselves.
Yeah, we'll just have them take our 3 spots on this show for like an IDP segment.
Yeah,
call in.
Fantasy Dogs with us. He said no IDP.
Call in and
if you call in right now, we'll let you do
we're 5 years old.
Exactly. You call in, we'll let you do a 5-minute IDP segment quick. Any of you guys, Craig, Jordan,
you can make any changes to my dynasty team, my IDP dynasty team.
Step up. 100%.
Who's your best player on your IDP dynasty team?
Aaron Donald.
Probably Shaq Leonard. I got him off the waiver wire. That shows you how much we know what we're doing.
Just a perennial 100+ tackle player.
We also start one at each position in IDP, so it's not like a super deep IDP league right there. Fantasy Dog in here saying I thought Ryan was good. Yeah, JL threw some Matt Ryan slander. Coop, do you think Matt Ryan's a good quarterback?
You mean like the former MVP QB2 overall in fantasy, Matt Ryan?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think he.
What year was that, Coop?
2016. I think
I was 4 years old then.
I think he's highly capable of playing well, and he's highly capable of playing poorly. Like that's the exact kind of guy he is, dude. He's just like oatmeal, right? He's an English muffin. JV.
I miss the years when Matt Ryan followed the pattern. Like he did it for a long time where it would be like top 2 overall season out of the top 12,
right, yeah.
Top 2 overall. And there was like real years, like multiple years in a row, you could have correctly predicted what Matt Ryan was going to do just following that pattern. Like, should you draft him this year? Nah, he did it last year. should you draft him this year? Yeah, last year he sucked. He should be good to go. And then at one point, he decided to just suck a little bit longer, and we haven't had top 2 Matt Ryan in a couple years now.
Yeah, I think it's maybe. Hey, I think this is probably the down year. Maybe next year we'll get top 2 Matt Ryan.
Yeah, Tyler in here had a question for us. What's up, Tyler? Welcome in. He said, I'm trading DJ Moore. What running back in a PPR league do you think I can get? So, Coop, if you're moving DJ Moore, what kind of tier of running back are you looking to get in a PPR league?
Yeah. So DJ Moore is just about as like steady but boring. Like, talk about English muffins, right, dude? Like, just steady and boring as it gets.
Talk about English muffins.
Talk about English muffins.
Wait. English muffins were putting as boring?
So that was a we were supposed to talk about what we were supposed to talk about what we're going to do on the show today, but me, JL, and Keith basically just argued about English muffins, dude. I think English muffins are dope. I love English muffins.
Okay, cool. We're
JL has the hot English muffin take. Why, Joe? Why don't you tell us how you feel about English
They're
muffins?
just shit bagels. That's all they are. They're garbage sandpaper shit bagels. Why would you ever want them? I don't understand it.
They're delicious.
Sandpaper.
You think just saying English in front of it makes it fancy? Psh.
Yeah, fancy. I'd fancy me a muffin right now. Biscuit. Breakfast biscuit. Delicious breakfast biscuit.
A nice English muffin toasted up with some butter or some peanut butter and all the little nooks and crannies. Like, you just get the surface area to butter ratio is perfect on an English muffin. Don't get me wrong, JL. Bagels are better. A good bagel is better. But an English muffin has its place in the breakfast rotation. And I just feel like you're missing out.
Right there with the bad bagels.
I'm going to fight you.
I love me them nooks and crannies.
I love how you described an English muffin as the nooks and crannies.
Which ones are the bad?
It's hot.
Most bagels are bad bagels. I have yet to find a good bagel here. Anything that's like
the grocery store, like packaged bagels, those ones are bad.
I refer to those as circle bread. They're fine. They have a place, but that's not a bagel. That's just like baked in an oven.
It doesn't taste like bagel.
It doesn't feel like bagel. And then any of the places that like cook their bagels in a pizza oven without boiling them, again, not a bagel. It's just circle bread. It's something different. And I'm a bagel purist. Living with a roommate from New Jersey ruined me in college. I thought I was good with just some Publix bagels. And then he brought back these frozen bagels from New Jersey. And all of a sudden I was like, why'd you do this to me? I was living in the dark and I was happy, Tim.
You guys are just breakfast snobs, it seems.
Yeah.
Breakfast elitists.
We may just be snobs in general. Maybe not. Maybe
I think
not
I just got bad takes.
I think JL's pretty stupid. I think JL's might.
I think that's the root of it here, guys.
So on this note, exactly what we were talking about on topic the whole time. DJ Moore, what running back tier would you be looking at trading?
That's the English muffin of fantasy football.
Are we done stalling? Are we going to answer this question?
Yeah, we're going to answer this question now.
I think you can't. You obviously can't trade him for like an elite running back. I think you got to be looking in the RB2 range.
James Robinson,
maybe like a David Montgomery. I would try and get the best guy I can that plays on 3 downs. So maybe not James Robinson.
Fournette. You think you can get Fournette for DJ Moore?
I would try. I would try
to get trade.
Fournette. Maybe a
Javonte Williams,
Darrell Henderson. Yeah.
I think I'm keeping Moore over Darrell Henderson.
We got them both kind of in the back half.
You know who's not like in that RB2 range right now, but their usage in this offense has been super inspiring. And speaking of teams that we're concerned about, that maybe I expect to have a better turnaround, is Josh Jacobs of the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't think that would be a bad move. DJ Moore for Josh Jacobs. It does not look like they're going to do a committee back here. Like, Josh Jacobs is the dude so far for this Raiders offense. And they're 0-2, but they're a much better team than that. So I think DJ Moore for Josh Jacobs might be a decent move that I'd be willing to make if you're good at wide receiver. Know what I mean? Like, if Josh Jacobs would plug immediately into your lineup and you're solid at wide receiver. Yeah, that's the name I like there. Now, of course, I prefer Leonard Fournette, but I'm not mad about a Josh Jacobs.
I'll admit Travis Etienne. Would you guys trade a DJ Moore for Travis Etienne? Can't at this point.
No.
I mean, it depends. Do you get points when the guy brings water out to the starter? And like in jail, when he brings
points
like
per water cup league,
brings out like an English muffin and says, "Hey, you've been working really hard being the starter." Right?
Hello,
James Robinson. Hello,
you look hungry.
Hello, kiss your mom.
Kiss your mom.
Take the lift, kiss your mom. Here's an English muffin. That's a totally different English person than I was doing earlier. Earlier, I was doing like a
Welsh person.
Cockney, gonna be quite a bit different around here without Dalton Schultz. And then just now, I was deep into the hello, Poppet.
Someone's gonna come in here and be like, "Oh no, what are you guys doing?"
The 5-yard rush, guys are just like they're over it. They're over there. They're like, "What is happening? Shut this off. Shut this down."
Stop it. They call in and just start mocking us with American accents. I don't know why. That's something that gets me every time. Every time I see a video of someone who has like a British accent, an Australian accent, and then they start doing like the American accent, like, "Hey, take me down to the McDonald's to buy a beer." Like every time they just do that with like the stereotypes, I lose it every time. Like there's something so funny about watching someone speak in a British accent and just switch to like voice that we all recognize.
And they're always so good at it too, dude, because there's so much media out there that they can just dog us. You know what I mean? I do love that, dude. But I would love for one of the 5-yard rush guys to call in and be like, you what, mate? May follow me.
Now it's personal. Now you're doing.
You want to have a go?
Maria said that's a Peppa Pig English accent. That's the other thing. I love when you see the videos and it's like these people that have grown up in the U.S. their entire life, but their children are talking in British accents because they watch a little bit too much Peppa Pig. Like that's incredible. That's incredible. Makes you realize you could really mess with your child. Know what I mean? You could just like talk in a different voice for the first couple of years of their life, and your child would be messed up forever. Like you could just ruin the way they speak. Absolutely not.
End up being one of those people that say bagels instead of bagels.
Exactly. I may teach them the wrong word for a couple things, like just swap fork and apple and then wait till they're like 12 and at a friend's house and like it comes up casually for the first time. They get called out and everything gets confusing. I think that's the subtle way I'll do it.
Good choice too.
And then they'll question every word they learned for the rest of their life.
Right?
Tyler on life, he's like, has a question for us.
It's like trying to compare forks to oranges. And
forks to oranges.
Like, what?
Tyler in the chat asking, I lost it. Would you trust Garrett Wilson in the flex? What do you think, Simon?
Yes. I mean, there's a general level of this is the Jets, right? Like this is a general level of this is Joe Flacco throwing the ball, right? There's a general level of this is a rookie who had one great game, right? But that being said, it was such a good game. Joe Flacco targeted him so heavily. I'm buying into it. Like he looks great and we've seen what the upside can be. I'll take that risk of maybe a stinker going out there on my roster because dude can put up over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, especially with the way the Jets are slinging the ball right now. It's got to come back down to earth at some point, but I'm not sure it's against the Bengals this week.
I've had too many matchups where like I went back and looked at it and I lost because I started Brandon Cooks or Adam Thielen. And then I have like Jahan Dotson or Garrett Wilson on my bench. Like I'm just going to start putting the exciting players in there and letting it ride, dude. And talking about the Jets, like I was looking at numbers yesterday, being a little football nerd in my spreadsheet. So I have stuff to talk about on the show. And I saw, this is a crazy stat. Joe Flacco has dropped back 115 times in 2 games. He's thrown 103 passes. Justin Fields has dropped back 41 times, and he's only actually thrown the ball 28 times. So in two games, Joe Flacco's thrown 103 passes.
This season?
So 2 games this season, Joe Flacco's thrown 103 passes, and Justin Fields has thrown 28. So if you're wondering how Cole Kmet can get 0 and Tyler Conklin can be something for some reason, that's why.
Imagine, JL, if Coop said, no, just 2 random games. I just picked out 2 games from their career to pull this statistic out. Like, imagine if Coop had said no.
I thought he meant in his whole career, and I was like, in this
2-game sample size, Joe Flacco 2009, and then another game. Joe Flacco week 6, 2009, Hurricane Samson came through. He only threw 3
I like to
passes.
think that's like your attempt to like somehow like randomly distribute, like be like statistically, pure here by just taking random games.
I took a random sampling of 2 games, right? No, but no, these first 2 games, it's crazy. Like, here's another crazy one that I noticed. Through 2 games, the Bears have run 99 offensive plays. In week 1, the Bengals ran 100. Like, this Bears offense doesn't work. It's not even playing. Like, it's crazy. The Colts ran 92 week 1. Like, it's not just the Bengals are crazy. It's like sometimes that happens. Dude, the Bears ran 41 plays this past week. No one else has run less than 53 or so. Like, it's like my brain is exploding.
I'm really upset about it. I was so into Darnell Mooney and Justin Fields this offseason, thinking this was the year that they were going to get something together, even if it was a bad offense, right? Like, the decisions they made in the draft made it say, like, okay, cool, this is like a stopgap year. But I thought we were going to see some improvement, but nothing. It doesn't look better. There's a couple plays they're designing for Justin Fields where it looks a little better, but not that many. Like, they're not moving. They're not on the field enough for it to even look better. Man, just absolutely gross. Jordan in the chat talking back about Garrett Wilson a little bit, saying the ADP gap between Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson was far too wide. Yeah. I mean, Elijah Moore showed us how good he was last season. And I think maybe as a community, we undersold how good Garrett Wilson is. Like, Elijah Moore being that good doesn't have any effect on how good Garrett Wilson is. Do you guys think this wide receiver duo is, like, for real? Like, is this going to be one of the premier wide receiver duos in the league as these guys develop, Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson?
Dude, I think these guys could honestly be phenomenal wide receiver 2s and 3s behind Corey Davis in this offense moving forward. Megastar Corey Davis, dude. No, I mean, the Jets, I hate to say it, if Zach Wilson ends up being good, or at least as good as Joe Flacco, this Jets rebuild by Robert Saleh is going to be solid, because they went out, they got a bunch of great offensive linemen, Elijah Vera Tucker, Laken Tomlinson, they have 2 decent tight ends now. They got awesome wide receivers. They seemingly have 2 backs that can operate on all 3 downs. And Robert Saleh's big thing is defense. So he's converting them from a 3-4 to a 4-3. And as soon as that's done, this team could be a problem. And I think they had arguably the best draft of any team in this draft, either them or the Giants. Like, that was my opinion. So Jets are scaring me. I don't like it.
Yeah, I brought it up a few times over the offseason, how I was really like, there's 2 teams that were really just blowing my socks off with their offseason moves. It was the Eagles and the Jets. Both of them were doing some there go those socks. This is kind of interesting. I too was fiddling with the numbers last night, Coop, in preparation. The show, doing a little research. Garrett Wilson, he's got 39.2 fantasy points on the season. So weeks 1 and 2, 39.2 fantasy points compared to Elijah Moore's 16.4. Garrett Wilson has 22 targets compared to Elijah Moore's 12 targets, and that corresponds to their target share as well. What's interesting is that Elijah Moore has a 96.1% route participation, and Garrett Wilson has 67%. And Garrett Wilson has 8 red zone targets to Elijah Moore's 2 red zone targets. So do you guys think that that route participation could flip this around and Garrett Wilson could have even more opportunity? He's clearly being way more efficient compared to Elijah Moore.
Yeah, I think yesterday, JL, you had a waiver wire show Q&A with JJ Zachariason, and he was asked a similar question, was asked about maybe Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore. And he brought up the point that, like, historically, statistically, rookie wide receivers turn it on in the second half of the season, right? Like, not that this couldn't be Garrett Wilson's best game, but that this time still, even after that huge game, could still be like the buy low moment for Garrett Wilson, for a rookie wide receiver. As this season progresses, he gets more invested. That route participation rate goes up. Maybe we see the switch between him and Elijah Moore. Like, those numbers that you just said say, yes, he's incredible. Yes, he's involved early, but he can be involved more. Know what I mean? Like, he can be on the field more. Right. He can take over as that true one in that offense, because I think Elijah Moore's still playing that role. Like, this is the time to go trade for Garrett Wilson. I was convinced yesterday, and I'm spreading the news today that JJ was spreading yesterday. Even though it's coming up a big game, it seems like a buy high moment. This is that time where you take that shot. Not that it's a guarantee that he breaks out in the second half, but he's the kind of guy that could, right? There's that room. He could do it, and that could be a league-winning type of player.
Yep. No, that's exactly how it happens, honestly. And no matter what they want to say, like every football organization from high school all the way up has that like pecking order mentality of like, let's give the older guys a chance, right? Like let's give them a shot first. That's why a lot of times you see this. You saw it with Mike Evans, you saw it with Odell Beckham Jr. And then once you get into the grind of the season and you realize how serious it all is, the best players end up playing. Right. So go and look at Mike Evans, where it's like he started off his rookie year and it was like, 40 yards, 50 yards. And then all of a sudden they were 1-4. And, then they were like, all right, we drafted this guy in the first round. Let's just go throw the ball a bunch of times. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how it goes. Like week 1, Braxton Berrios plays like 50% of the snaps or whatever. Week 2, they're like, why don't you go take a lap, Braxton? It's Garrett Wilson time. And if you look at the snaps, that's exactly what happened. Garrett Wilson played like 13 snaps or whatever. And Braxton Berrios played like 13 snaps this week. Garrett Wilson went up to like 40 something. So I think the Garrett Wilson era has already begun, and it's only going to get better.
God, he looked great. It wasn't just the stat line, but if you watch that game, it was like, yeah, of course you should get this guy the ball that much. Like that just makes a lot of sense for the success of your team. Like he looked phenomenal out there. I see Dustin in here saying you guys do research for this show. So these guys handle the numbers and the football stuff.
Listen. It wasn't for this show. It was just in general. Don't worry. No reason.
I did my research for the show this morning. I had an English muffin right before the show. The nooks were nooking, the crannies were a crannying, bro.
So filled with butter. Everyone, go get your nooks and crannies right now. We're going to be talking about some more teams to worry about shortly, then hitting some player props for this week and playing a couple games with you on air. Our friend Alex Korf, aka Peaked in High School, is joining us later today. And then Luke Johnson, beat writer, is coming on the show as well. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
It's Corey Nando and Friends, presented by Mayo Media Network. Corey, I pulled this down. Like, hearing Ravel got me all like, oh man, collectibles. Check this out. Look at that.
That's like what? Pro Stars.
That's Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky.
Ooh.
It's an official like a still from the cartoon.
Oh, that's pretty dope. I like that. Where'd you get that from?
On eBay. It was like $45. It's authenticated. I got the authentication right here.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
I thought it was one of my. I really like. Started going to Comic Cons and they had all these cartoon animation cells. They're called.
Yeah, I never been to a Comic Con before. I like to sleep on Saturday morning. No, I'm not dissing the Comic Con crew. I'm not dissing them, Nando. I'm just saying, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm just.
You could go on a Thursday. Like I go on a Thursday because the animation cell boxes. The boxes aren't picked over. You can get like
Oh,
I don't have that many. I have like 5.
They have Comic Cons in like every city. Like they have them. It's not just at the Javits Center, right? They have them like kind of. They're not gonna have one down here where I'm at, but they have them like all over, right?
Yeah, they're everywhere. Yeah, they're awesome. So anyway, I got that's not from Comic Con, but like I learned about it at Comic Con. They have Pro Stars. That's kind of
That's cool.
It's Michael Jordan kind of dressed as Santa Claus.
Yeah, I see that.
For some reason, I never saw that episode. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I don't remember many Pro Stars episodes. I never was a big cartoon guy. Like even when I was 5-6-year-old fantasy executive, my life was always based in reality.
Really?
Yeah.
So what were you doing on Saturday mornings?
Fishing.
Yeah,
was fishing. I was fishing in the Hudson River.
Well, I was gonna say up the Tappan Bridge. That sounds about right.
Off the West Side Highway.
Producers remember Pro Stars. You remember Pro Stars in the chat room? Like it was amazing. It was Bo Jackson, Wayne Gretzky, and Michael Jordan. Which I later found out in life it wasn't their real voices. Which it doesn't take that long to voice a cartoon.
You think Michael Jordan, when he was on top of the world, was going to voice a cartoon?
How long are you? Look, I mean, it takes this long as we're doing the show to step in there in front of the microphone and be like,
Michael Jordan,
Wayne, let's go get
Michael Jordan like to gamble, smoke cigars. You know what I'm saying? I really don't see Michael Jordan pulling up to the animation studio to voice a cartoon.
You assume he would have made a little more money.
He got all the money in the world.
I guess you're right.
He's a mogul. Yeah. Michael Jordan don't need no money.
Maybe not at the time. It might be a good story to find out where those voice actors are now. Like, hey, these are Bo Jackson, Wayne Gretzky, and Michael Jordan. What are they doing?
I know that would be cool. That would be.
Let's have them on the show.
No.
Oh, I got it. We'll get those 3 voice actors to come on and do this year's Christmas special.
Oh, that's not a bad idea if we can find them.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team where you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
It is 3rd and 9. Cousins spreads out his wide receivers. 3rd goal from the 9. Cousins is back. Here comes the rush. He throws it high in the air, and it is intercepted. 3rd interception today. Now Slade drops it, but he's down. He made the interception.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We're talking English muffins for 3 hours today, so buckle up, baby, because it's only hour one. Nothing but nooks and crannies into your ear holes for the next 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Hogs up, boys.
Hogs up for the English muffins. And we just do what the people want. Dustin here said deep dive into English muffins. That's what I'm here for. And Woolsey saying reading the nooks and crannies like tea leaves. Yeah. Coop, you've been practicing your English muffin fortune telling?
I'm practicing all morning, mate.
Nice.
I'm deep in it.
Tyler had a question for us. He wanted to know what our thoughts on Miles Sanders are. So, JL, what do you think about Mr. Miles Sanders running back for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Mr. Miles Sanders. I am typically a Miles Sanders hater. And I will continue to be. Miles Sanders is fine. I feel like this is what we've been getting from Miles Sanders. Let's see, in half PPR, 17.5 fantasy points week 1 against Detroit, 10.10 or 10.1 fantasy points against Minnesota in week 2. I feel like it's probably going to be closer to that 10-point line for most of the season for Miles Sanders.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Coop.
Say Miles Sanders is the great water bearer. That's what I call that guy. He carries the water down to the goal line so that Jalen Hurts can drink it. That's what this team is, dude. He's 7 yards a carry, 5 yards a carry. Last year he averaged 5.5 yards a carry. Like, doesn't matter. You need Jalen. If Jalen Hurts were to be out and Gardner Minshew were to be the quarterback for this team, Miles Sanders would probably be an RB1. No joke. But because of this, like last year when Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders were out, Boston Scott and Jordan Howard combined for like no joke 40 carries inside the 10-yard line. But while Jalen Hurts is there, it's just you can't trust him. Impossible. So it's sad. Sad for us Miles Sanders truthers, as Ernie points out in the chat, my boy.
Yeah, JL, I resent what you said because, like, while I didn't draft a lot of Miles Sanders this year, I'm a Miles Sanders lover. Like, he's so much fun to watch play football. He's incredible when they put consistently. He's one of those players where every time he touches the ball, I'm like, why aren't they doing this every play? Why aren't they giving him the ball every single play on that offense? He's unreal. But then they just don't. Like, he's in a frustrating situation. Like Coop mentioned, Jalen Hurts. But then you got Boston Scott getting carries in there as well. Kenneth Gainwell going to steal some of that. Like, it's just baffling to me, the usage of one of the great running backs in the NFL. Miles Sanders is a great player, but you can start him. You pray for the TD. You're happy with 10 points, and that's where he's probably going to live. See, Fantasy Dog in there shocked that he got a touchdown. Yeah, he got one rushing touchdown in week 1. He snuck one through. He said, fine, I'm taking this one in, Jalen. This one's for me. Do you think they have like
Jordan Loop in the chat says, accent's a bit rough, isn't it?
Isn't
it? Governor?
I like 4 or 5 times now I've opened my mouth with the intention of an English accent coming out next, and I've chickened out every single time. Every single time I've done like, and then just spoken in my normal voice.
Say one British thing.
You've been thinking about it, though. You've been thinking hard about it.
At one point, it's going to come out. Don't worry. The British accent will come out of my mouth.
Ooh.
Oh, Tyler said he was offered Miles Sanders for DJ Moore. So, JL, is Miles Sanders a tier of running back that you would trade DJ Moore for?
No, I would rather have DJ Moore. And I feel like DJ Moore's name value, you should be able to get more than Miles Sanders.
Coop, what about you?
Well, they're kind of like the same dude. You know what I mean? They play well. They don't score touchdowns. Although DJ Moore did score a touchdown. Which,
so did Miles Sanders.
Well on his way to 4 touchdowns. I mean, Miles Sanders scored 0 last year. So that's kind of a different story. But, yeah. DJ Moore well on his way to that 4 touchdown over-under that Vegas has set for him. 4.5 it was, I believe. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a pretty fair trade.
I'm just glad that on with Cole Kmet and Miles Sanders, I said all offseason, like their touchdowns can't go down. Like they have to get better. And I'm glad at least one of them I'm going to be right on, but I'm not very confident that Cole Kmet is even going to get one touchdown this year. But Miles Sanders, you did it. You outperformed your touchdown total from last year.
With Cole Kmet, let's start with a reception. And then we can start. And then we can start talking about touchdowns.
Cole, baby steps.
Like, he's no OJ Howard. Come on,
super mega star OJ Howard. OJ Howard's stats are like so ridiculous because he doesn't play, but he scored 2 touchdowns. Like his ADOT is like 25 yards. touchdowns per route run is like 1.
Why does that always happen on the Texans? Know what I mean? Do you remember when Will Fuller was having like games where it would be like 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 90 yards? Like it was like multiple weeks in a row where like, no, you can't do it again. Like no way Will Fuller can have like a 2-catch, 2-touchdown game 3 weeks in a row. And he just went out there and did it. OJ Howard, the new Will Fuller. Coop, you've opened up a can of worms in here. Fantasy Dog now requesting impressions. He wants Macho Man, Arnold, and Stallone. We'll keep those in our back pockets. Maybe one of those gets whipped out at some point. Coop,
Simon's gonna think really hard about them, but then not do
them. Here's what I've learned. Here's what I've learned with impressions and accents. It will 100% of the time sound better in my head. And the moment it comes out of my mouth, it's shocking every time. Like every time it's like, that is not what I intended that to sound like.
I thought no matter what the accent is for me, it somehow always just devolves into Brooklyn Tony.
Hey, I'm walking
over here, Tony.
Hey, forget about it.
I know Maria's driving in her car right now, rolling her eyes in the back of her head.
The Tony has made an appearance.
I thought I was doing great, and then Jordan's like, "No."
You know what? Maybe he's just that might be like a British compliment to say a bit rough, isn't it? Like that's a British compliment, Coop. He's letting you know that it looks all right. I wanted to talk some more teams that we're a little bit concerned about, and we can get 2 teams in one right here because 2 teams that have started 0-2 that I think maybe people didn't expect to are facing each other. We've already talked a little bit about the Las Vegas Raiders, but they're going up against the 0-2 Tennessee Titans. And we touched a little bit on the Titans earlier in the news whenever we said they weren't going to make an offensive coordinator change. First, JL, who do you expect to win this game? And are you concerned long-term for either of these teams? Like, do you think this 0-2 start is indicative of at least one of these teams being worse than we thought they were at the beginning of the season?
I missed the 2 teams you're talking about in the beginning. Which
Titans and Raiders, both 0-2. They're playing against each other this week.
Man. And you're asking me if the Titans are they just poo-poo butt, or is this just a fluke?
Yeah, are they as bad as their record indicates right now? Like, do you have concerns for them? Because these were both teams I think people looked at as potential playoff teams, even if the Raiders were looked at as bottom of their division.
I think Titans might just be that bad, guys. I think the Titans might just be that bad. Raiders, I'm not too concerned with the Titans though. They just have not looked good. They haven't been able to put it together on a relatively easy opening schedule. So
I mean, the Bills is not a relatively easy.
But
the
Giants. But the Giants. Easy, isn't it?
I guess,
isn't it? Quite right.
I guess the Giants plus the Bills could be described as a relatively easy start. Relatively easy being 1 easy game, Bills. Coop, do you agree with JL that the Titans are poop water?
I think that they're going to be fine. I'm not going to.
How dare you put
those
words in my mouth?
I wouldn't say that anyway, because that's potty talk. We don't do that on the show. Talk. We don't do that. We know not during the 3 minutes, not during the 3 minute poop break. Okay. Yeah, I think that they're going to be fine. But again, it's like you got to get Derrick Henry going, and you got to get these wide receivers going. I mean, like. Let Treylon Burks. Why isn't Treylon Burks even playing? He's playing like 40% of the snaps. These other teams getting their rookies going. It's looking awesome. I mean, the scary thing about this situation is that you think, we kind of talked about this yesterday, but you think you could just trade away AJ Brown and go out and draft a guy and he's going to be awesome, just like the Vikings did with trading away Diggs and getting Justin Jefferson. But sometimes that guy you draft ends up being N'Keal Harry. A team close to my my own heart drafted him in the first round, and he did not turn out to be very good. So there's a real possibility that happens. And if that is the case, they could be in some serious trouble because, like, Kyle Phillips, you can't have Kyle Phillips be your wide receiver 1 and win a Super Bowl. I'll tell you that right now.
No, I expect Treylon Burks to get more involved, and I think this Tennessee Titans team, whenever I look at it, like, it looks like a better team than what we've seen through 2 weeks. Like, I know the Bills are incredible, but 41-7 shouldn't be what this Titans team is losing. But I think they figure it out and become at least competitive by the midway point in this season. But yeah, it's hard to watch right now. It's hard to watch.
I'll tell you, every time I watch a Titans game, I have the same moment every time in the game. And that's the first time that Derrick Henry comes on the screen. And I'm like, what is that, dude? Like, every time I watch a Titans game, there's that first moment that they show Derrick Henry, and I'm like, good God. Like, I can't believe I'm the same species as that gentleman. Like, that guy is a absolute tank. Like, I can't picture a team with that guy on it being bad. So I think they'll be fine.
He's a monster.
Huge.
We were watching, my girlfriend and I were watching that game, or maybe it was last season. We were watching the game, and I remember her saying, like, why does he look so slow, but no one can catch him? Like, but he's just so big. Whenever he's running, he doesn't look like he's moving fast, but then, like, the people are getting further away. Like, it looks like he's just strolling down the field, but then people are getting further away from him as he's taking off down there.
Yeah. The strides, man.
Fantasy Dog saying, give him the ball. Coop, do you think what you mentioned about them trading away A.J. Brown, not really playing Treylon Burks, is affecting how teams are playing the Titans?
I mean, clearly, like, A.J. Brown, and now we're seeing like we're seeing this in a few of these situations where, like, in our minds we were like, oh well, you know, maybe Tyreek Hill was only good because of Patrick Mahomes, and then now we're watching the games and we're like, oh wait a second, both Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill are really good. And now when I watch A.J. Brown, I'm like, oh wait a second, A.J. Brown was just really good, you know. And turns out Ryan Tannehill, maybe he was just really good at throwing at A.J. Brown. So unless, you know, Robert Woods, Treylon Burks, somebody got to step up, dude. Somebody's got to step up and make plays, because if you don't have the A.J. Brown or somebody to keep the defense honest, it's going to be harder for Derrick Henry, and you need Derrick Henry to get going.
That's his pitch whenever he's trying to find a new team. He goes in and goes, look, if you can just get A.J. Brown, I'm going to kill it. Like, I'm going to be on fire, but you got to get specifically A.J. Brown and we'll be good to go. I don't know if you guys had this reaction. Sometimes when players switch teams, I don't quite ever get used to them in their new jersey. Like, it looks weird every time. Like Tom Brady in that Bucs jersey looks weird every time. Tyreek Hill in the Dolphins jersey still looks odd. A.J. Brown, I haven't had that moment once. He just, like, it just makes sense for some reason. Like, I see him in the Eagles jersey and I'm like, he's always been on the Eagles. Like, A.J. Brown is an Eagle.
There he is. Yeah. It is weird that does happen sometimes, especially like nowadays when you can wear like a low number. Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, who is that? Who is number 7? And I'm just like, it doesn't register with me. So I've had that happen a number of times with A.J. Brown. He feels right at home.
Yeah,
dude, he's one of the players who I'm very happy about so far, and just the beginning of the season as one of the players I got right. Then I look at Travis Etienne, I'm reminded how stupid I am.
That's the duality of fantasy football, JL. Yeah. Just constantly stupid and smart at the same time. But the stupid ones hurt more. They dig a little deeper. Like, the ones I'm right on don't feel as good as the ones I'm wrong on feel bad.
And the worst ones are when people are like, you know, something happens and they're like, I told you so. And then I have to be like, dude, it didn't even happen the way you thought it was going to happen. Like, everyone's like, oh, dude, yeah, I added Devin Duvernay. I'm like, dude, yeah. You add him because he was going to run back 107-yard kick return to start the game? I don't think he did, dude. How many passes did he catch? How many passes did Devin Duvernay catch this week?
Something I'm learning.
2 or 1?
Yeah, sick game, bro. Nice waiver ad. 2 targets. Get out of my face.
I think
get out of my
you really feel.
Get him out of my sight.
Devin, get out of his sight. He asked nicely.
I thought you were jumping in there. Another team that I think people are concerned about that we've talked about quite a bit is the Cincinnati Bengals. They have not looked good so far this year, with losses to the Cowboys and to the Steelers in overtime. They're going up against the Jets, another team that we talked about already, maybe looking better than we expected. Do Do you think this is the turnaround week for the Cincinnati Bengals? Do we see them come out, get a W against this Jets team that just beat the Browns?
God, I hope so. If they can't do it against the Jets, then we all miss something big.
Whoa,
Something big this offseason.
Jets are kind of a wagon, bro. Look out.
I know, but they're still the Jets. In the words of Tim, they're still the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets have I think this is the week where everyone's going to look at the Jets and be like, all right, because they've been averaging 77. They're like the opposite of the Browns. They've been averaging 77 snaps a game over the first two games. The league leader last year averaged 69. So they're not going to do that all year. They're going to be nice. There's going to be games where, they play like 58 snaps and just quietly lose. This could be one of those weeks.
This is the same Jets that just struggled to beat Jacoby Brissett and the Cleveland Browns.
The Cleves.
It's totally not fair to the entire Cleveland Browns team, but
the same Jets that would have lost if Nick Chubb just took a knee, or would have lost if they didn't convert a play that happens roughly 4% success rate on a onside kick.
W's a W. You got to do what you got to do, right? The New York Hogs.
New York the hog wagon. They are a straight hog wagon right now. Just a wagon.
Hog wagon of the week.
Joe Flacco, hog. Elijah Moore, hog.
Oh,
Garrett Wilson, hog. What's the spread on that game? I got it, actually. It's Jets are getting 4.5. So even though the game is in New Jersey, where the New York Jets play, the Bengals are favorites.
You guys taking that?
I was just about to ask. I'm taking the Bengals to cover the spread still.
Yeah, I think they're the better team.
Yeah, I mean, it feels weird after the first 2 weeks we've seen from each of those teams.
Producer Keith saying, "Shut up." About talking trash about the Jets. I said nice things about the Jets earlier, though. I did claim Darrelle Revis for the Patriots, even though he obviously played pretty much his entire career at the Jets before and after playing for the Patriots. But, so 1 out of 3 of my Jets takes has been a pro Jets take. I believe that's well above average for me.
Absolutely.
Very admirable, Coop. Very admirable.
But so outside of just this game, do you think this Bengals are a better team than we've seen through 2 weeks? Like, is this a playoff team in the Cincinnati Bengals after making it to the Super Bowl last year?
Jay, why is he asking such tough questions this morning?
I don't know, man. It's so early.
Softballs
feels
until
like a quiz.
8:30. It should all be softballs.
Yeah.
Do you think Joe Burrow smokes cigars just for fun sometimes too, or only when he wins big boy football games?
They're just actually gender reveal cigar, like bubblegum cigars that he's smoking.
That's my kind of take, dude. Dude, actually, speaking of that type of take, like only having a specific kind of thing, did you ever hear the Larry Bird story from when he hurt his back?
No.
Dude, Larry Bird hurt his back.
To be honest with you, I've heard no Larry Bird stories.
So, dude, Larry Bird, none? Okay, well, I got
not a single one.
Here's one for you. So you're like, will the Bengals make the Super Bowl? And I'm like, I got this story about Larry Bird when he hurt his back. Like, just ignoring your question completely because it's too difficult. Yeah. So
please
Larry Bird,
don't connect it at all either. Like, I want that to just be a thing. Like, we just
Larry
go on
Bird,
non-sequitur.
yeah. So you mentioned. So here's how it connects, right? You mentioned Joe Burrow only smokes those "It's a Boy" cigars.
Yeah.
Larry Bird,
or it's a girl,
hurt his back, and which pretty much ended his career early. He did so because he refused to pay someone to do his mom's driveway, do the gravel for the driveway. So he did it himself, hurt his back, right? They asked him what he did during that period, and he said that he legit just sat there and ate ice cream and wedding cakes. He said he ate 10 gallons of ice cream, 10 wedding cakes.
Where's he getting all these wedding cakes from?
And the dude that was talking to him asked him, he was like, why wedding cakes? And Larry Bird's basically like, I'm rich. He goes, when you call them and ask for a cake, they don't take it seriously. It could come out however. But when you tell them it's a wedding cake, that's how you know it's going to be a damn good cake. So this guy was calling, asking wedding cakes every time to make sure that it was the highest quality cake because he's Larry Bird.
And the most expensive cake.
On each cake.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. So, yeah, he only smokes big boy. It's a boy cigars, too. Right.
I'm just imagining, Like if my girlfriend walked in the door after a full day of work and I'm sitting in the living room just like chowing down on a wedding cake, like a tiered wedding cake with a fork,
girl?
watching Netflix, like, oh hey, this is some high quality shit right here.
Good cake, dude.
Want to lick the icing off the bread?
Right. Yeah. It's just you look behind Larry Bird on the ground, there's just a pile of those like little like statues of like a
circle.
Like a little statue of like the bride and groom. It's like a pile of them in the corner of the room.
Yeah. All
he just takes it, throws it over his shoulder, starts eating the cake.
You can't even make it in the trash can. There's just like next to the trash cans pile of plastic.
Bro, it's Larry Bird. Every single one went right in the trash can. That dude don't miss. He don't miss, baby.
Did he have the cakes delivered or did he go pick them up? Like, would someone show up with a wedding cake thinking they were showing up to like a wedding or a bride to be, and then it's Larry Bird answering the door, shirtless with icing. He's like shirtless with icing on his chest, just holding a fork, like grabs the cake. Thank you. Closes the door.
He had a hurt back, bro. He's not walking around town with
You're
cakes,
right,
dude. Like
You're
they're
right.
definitely getting
cake by the door.
Just
scooted in the house.
Imagine Larry Bird with an injured back, just like hobbling around town carrying a giant
Hello,
like
sir.
3-layer wedding cake.
Hello, sir. I can't reach it.
Tommy letting us know Dennis Rodman delivered them. Yeah, Dennis Rodman delivered the cakes
Can you
to
imagine?
Larry Bird. Man, that's wild. Wedding cakes while you're injured for your back. Maybe you don't need medicine anymore. You can just eat wedding cakes and ice cream.
Didn't really work. Hey, I think he only played one more season after that. But
who was it? It was it's Ocho Cinco, right? Who only ate McDonald's. Like that's his whole thing is I eat McDonald's and McDonald's only, and I'm still the dude.
Absurd.
Man, if I eat McDonald's like twice in a week, I'm messed up. I can't imagine playing an NFL game with nothing but McDonald's in your body. Just awful. One more team, guys, before we move on. The Panthers have started 0-2. They're going up against the Saints this week. Do you think they're going to start 0-3, or do they pull out their first victory? Does Baker get a W against this New Orleans Saints team?
I think the Saints are going to win again. Win
again. So you're worried about this Panthers team. Do you think this is a bottom barrel Panthers team? Like, are we going to be?
I don't know that I have a ton of confidence in Matt Rule, to be honest. Like, I've sort of just been watching or like observing the Panthers this offseason, and I don't know. His moves just don't inspire a ton of confidence. I feel like whenever I see a coach who like doesn't feel like they're making like clear decisions towards a pretty like definitive goal or definitive vision, it feels like, okay, what are you guys doing? What are you doing over here?
You guys want to do today? Yeah, you guys want to do. I'm with you, man. One of my followers that asked me the other day, they were like, if you could get rid of one NFL rule, which would it be? I was like, I would get rid of the Matt rule. He's ruining the Panthers.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Like take like Dan Campbell as like I would take Dan Campbell, I think, over Matt Rule any day. Because at least Dan Campbell, like, say what you will about him, he knows what he wants and he's very clear about it, and he's very clear in inspiring people to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of NFL coaches are not that way.
Yeah, Dan Campbell's the man. Let's just say, regardless of what happens from here on out, if he remains a coach or not, like, that dude's the man. And I would love that.
He's a man, yeah.
I'd love to have a beer with that guy, dude. For like 20.
Me too, man.
Me too, bruh. So very cool. I love how we successfully dodged that Bengals. Do they make the playoffs?
Yes, thank God.
Gotcha, Simon.
Stay tuned for more talk.
We're beyond the statute of limitations for that question. It's double jeopardy now if you ask us again. You've already moved on to another team.
I think that means exactly what you think it means, and so I won't ask you, Coop. That is you've got the understanding of double jeopardy just absolutely perfect. I'll make sure not to ask you again. I think the Panthers lose this game again this week. And as much as I wanted Baker Mayfield to get a good shot with another team, if the Panthers are picking near the top of that draft next year with all these beautiful quarterbacks on the board, the teams have been just allegedly drooling over for the past couple of years. It may not be Baker's team next year.
I do think Baker will be probably better than he's been.
Tommy in the chat asked Dan Campbell versus Mike Vrabel. Who wins in a fight?
You know what? I'm going to say Vrabel because I think he's meaner. You know what I mean? Like, I think Dan Campbell would get him in the spot to like deliver the final blow, and Vrabel would be like, I surrender. And then Dan Campbell would like get off him, and then Vrabel would take a cheap shot and win the fight, knock him out.
Vrabel's got like an underlying edge that Dan Campbell just doesn't have, like a darkness to him that like I feel like if things got real down to the wire, Vrabel would do some things that he wasn't proud of.
I tell you,
Dan Campbell, I don't think so.
I think
born in the dark.
I don't know who would win that fight. I was born.
There we go. The bit's been like 0 for 3, but Coop just keeps trying.
I can't hear anything he's saying. That's such a bad Bane. I got to work on my Bane impression. But I don't know who would win the fight. But I know the entire city would be destroyed. Like it would be like
100%.
Godzilla versus King Kong, you know, just like, just a bad day to be a building, right?
What city are they doing it in? Are they doing it in Detroit or are they doing it in, they're doing it in Nashville because it's going to be like the honky tonk going on in the background for this film. Like you're just going to see like someone singing Chicken Fried on a stage in Nashville with a bunch of tourists in cowboy hats. And then Vrabel's going to just come flying through the wall, knocking him out.
Dude, that's
chicken fried.
That's contrapuntal music where the music doesn't match what's going on, dude. We're bringing it full circle, bro. We're bringing
full circle. Guys, if you listen to this show, we'll teach you a vocabulary word and then put it into context 3 weeks later. It's what we do here. It's
Nobody from then is still listening to the show. And anyone listening now, probably not going to be listening tomorrow.
Contrapuntal, your word of the tri-week time period that we're in. Whenever we come back, we're going to be talking some player props, and we're playing a couple games, some hypothetically, maybe some match game. Our friend Alex, aka Peaked in High School, the creator of the Trade Values Charts, is coming to hang out with us as well. And then we've got Luke Johnson, beat writer, joining the show a little bit later as well. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Better Sports Network.
I believe one of our bosses at Better Sports Network put out a tweet asking all of the hosts on Better Sports Network to react to how their fantasy teams are going thus far. And my reaction was 2 words in all caps: not ideal. It's not having more of a 500 type of week. But then you had others respond saying they don't check their scores until Monday. Why? What? Is it just not fun watching your fantasy teams as the games are going on? I understand maybe not obsessing for the first hour, but normally, Ron, within the first 2 hours, I'm checking my scores. Why are some of our analysts on BSN against checking their scores until freaking Monday?
That to me is like you're watching porn and the girl starts to take off her shirt and then you click off the video. Why? Don't you want to see the rest? Like, come on, man. Sorry, I'm a person that has to look at scores. No matter how much I try and refrain, like I have to open it and look. So that's just me. Sometimes it's not good. I get it. I understand if someone doesn't want to check till the night. You have so many leagues. You don't want to put stress on yourself. But you're not checking Sunday night going into the night game to see what you have left. You don't want to know who your opponent has. You have, I don't know. For me, I got to check. So I got to look. No matter how much I have to, like right now with baseball, like I'm checking it every day. I mean, I thought in my home league I was done. This guy had a huge lead. I am actually a 1.5 back now. So now I'm like, oh, here we go. And I have another league that's close. So yeah, man, I mean, I got to check. If you don't want to check during 2-3 o'clock, I get it. It's early and things happen, but I'm always looking. So I don't see how you can go the whole day Sunday.
It's fun. Isn't it fun watching your scores while the games are going on? It's fun. I get that you're on tilt kind of, but that's why we play.
So what are you going to do? Not watch games all day and then be like, all right, I'll tune in at 7:15, see what happens. Like, that's what it's like doing. I don't know. I don't get it.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Better Sports Network.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. And why was I about to say this? It's early. Now I have to say it because I started saying it. I get so nervous during those breaks. Like, I'm ripping them over here, man. That like my mic's not muted and it's just gonna come through over the music, or that the music's gonna cut suddenly. And you're just gonna hear like,
dude. Simon, I'm gonna be honest with you. We can smell them. We can smell them over here.
I thought you were gonna say you can hear them. Like I keep watching the chat. Like no one's hearing those, right? Like is everyone just being nice to me?
You didn't realize
this is like the 6th day you've been in the panel chat or whatever here in the background private chat, and you're like, can you guys hear the farts I've been ripping?
It's been a constant thought, and like the thought won this time. It came out as my first thought here because it was the last thought I had as the music.
Welcome back to the Front Yard
As
Fantasy
the
Show.
music ended, I ripped one, and then I was like, "Oh God, I hope they didn't hear that." Like I think I timed it right.
I don't know. You didn't know that better boss didn't tell you that we're coming at radio. We're bringing the video portion, but we also implemented smell-o-vision. He didn't tell you that we have that.
Yeah.
Smash that fun button. Smash that fun button if you can smell Simon's farts this morning.
If you're getting a whiff of that diff, hit that fun button.
Smash it up. All right.
Smash it. Eventually, we'll have a smell button where you can just smash it to get the smell that we're referring to.
Button.
Keith's going to keep all the smells in his home. He'll release them one by one into the device that transfers it out across the waves.
It smells like weed.
That's Keith's apartment. It smells
like a early 2000s Toyota Avalon that's had a lot of weed in it.
That you bought used. No, it's a rental. It's a rental Avalon that you went and picked up, and you're like, huh. Hope I don't get charged for this. And then you just drive away. Like you make the rental person come out and be like, smell this car.
Yeah,
like just write it down.
That smells not coming out.
Write it down right there. Why do rental cars always smell so weird? Just not good.
Guys like you ripping farts in there.
You're right.
Guys like you is what he said.
Because we are about to play round 2 of a game that we've played on the show before. We are going to play the match game. We've got Maria coming on to host for us. And for those of you that have not played with us before, how this works is Maria asked some questions to members of the community. What's up, Maria? Welcome in.
Morning.
Thank you for putting together some match game for us.
Morning.
Of course.
I feel like we're about to learn about colors and letters and animals and reading and sharing.
Yeah.
Friendship.
You got any
beautiful.
What if we walked into your class as kindergartners right now? What would our first lesson be?
Hooked on phonics?
No farting. No farting in class.
No. Farting during class is very popular.
Very popular activity this time of year.
Will you now admit that it's hilarious?
Maybe.
There you have
one of my favorite stories. I don't think Maria likes it, but Maria's dad was visiting Maria in her classroom for the day a few years ago, and they're all sitting in a circle on the carpet, and some kid just lets one rip.
Yes. You gotta tell the whole story.
Tell the whole story. You tell it.
It was like a number. It was like a counting activity. So they go around in a circle and they say the next number in the line. So first kid says 1, next kid says 2, and you can do it like
what
skip
comes after that?
Whatever you're learning. And so they're going, and the next kid it was his turn. He just lets one rip, and my dad goes, "That's not a number." And
killed, absolutely slayed the entire kindergarten class. They were dead.
For some reason, I was fully expecting you to say your dad was next in line after him, and it was going to go like 5, 6, 8, like just no skipping, just immediately just jumps.
He followed the fart with another fart.
That's such a strong dad move, dude.
Strong dad move.
He's the best, though. He's the best.
Shout out,
Ed. You got a match game for us. If you don't know Maria, she is my fiance and member of the Front Yard Fantasy team. FYF Maria. We playing some match game today?
Yeah, I'm ready if you're ready.
Yeah, you want to let us know how this works?
All right, so if you've ever watched the old school GSN match game, it's going to be very similar. No, Coop? Never?
Nah. I don't do any research for the show.
If you're a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, you may have seen a similar show on one episode of the season that they play. They play a knockoff version on RuPaul.
Yeah. So basically, I've gone and asked people in the questions, and they have to fill in the blank. They have to think. Your job is to guess what you think they said, not necessarily what your answer would be, but what did they say? So that's part of the game.
Okay.
So, yep, you're going to write down your answers. You're all going to reveal them, and then I will show you what our special guest said.
It's like pole
All right, I'm feeling
perception on
lucky.
steroids, and for one person. We brought the sampling size to 1, and there's no multiple choice. Bring it.
Coop's
Ready?
favorite game. All right, what's our first prompt?
All right, the first question was answered by Troy. I don't know if this
Troy
helps.
King.
Troy King.
I don't know if it
T
helps.
King mode.
You got to get in the mindset of Troy for this one.
Oh, it's a tough mindset to be in.
That's my walkie-talkie.
Feeling
A
thirsty
must-have
Thursday.
game day food. A must-have game day food.
Okay, I
I'm
feel
having
like,
like an-
I'm channeling my inner Troy.
I'm having like an existential crisis trying to imagine what Troy grabs from his fridge or freezer on game day, or like orders up in the Uber. See, I can't even decide the mechanism for which the food gets to him. Like, is he ordering this? Is he cooking it himself? Like,
I feel like Troy's inside of me right now.
how's it feel?
It feels a little uncomfortable, but a little exciting too.
I will have you know that he did message me back an answer, and then I hadn't responded yet. Sent me another one. He changed his answer.
That's such a Troy move, dude. That's such a
So
Troy
maybe
move.
it's not even what you first thought.
If mine is the first answer and I'm wrong, I will throw a fit.
When you're
Yeah,
ready.
mine. What's taking you guys so long? You just gotta write down a food.
The right food, JL. This is why you don't win any games.
I got the
mine.
right one.
I'm ready.
All right.
Hold
Please
on.
reveal your answers.
Coop,
I didn't write
Coop,
mine.
you have
down.
yours?
I got to write one down. Hold on.
Oops, like I didn't know there'd be questions.
I was waiting for Troy to answer my DM.
Coop's like, this is tougher than that Bengals question.
All right, we've got wings, and wings.
Triple
Wings.
Wings,
Come on
wings,
down. Get your
wings.
wings,
English.
baby.
Tommy in the chat says
Right
English
answer.
muffins.
English muffins.
It's not
Troy's
English. To the must-have game day food was
Chips. That is such a Troy King answer is chips. You got
Probably
have
just
chips.
like plain Lay's too.
Do you want to know what the first answer was?
Was it wings?
Yeah, was it wings?
Wings.
My God. I thought it was going
I'm
to
pretty
be.
sure.
I thought Woolsey Julian in the chat had it. Arugula salad with onions and capers.
Arugula salad with onions and capers.
Imagine one of us guessed that, and that's a trend.
No
she's like,
Sorry.
it was arugula salad, onions and capers.
That's like SNL does Family Feud. That answer, if it shows up right there.
All right, round two.
Round two. Nobody gets points on that one.
No points. This
All right.
was answered by the very famous Cooter Doodle.
Cooter Doodle.
Yep.
Oh man, this could be anything.
Her question. I asked
Long
her.
time fan,
was,
first time fan.
If NFL teams were in Hogwarts houses, what NFL team is in Slytherin?
Easy.
If NFL teams were in Hogwarts houses, what team is in Slytherin?
I feel like I'm gonna go out on a limb here. And it
Me
might
too.
pay off.
I'm going out. I'm not saying the obvious answer. I think
I'm going with my
because like Cooter Doodle makes me think, especially don't put the obvious answer down. Know what I mean? Like her brain operates on another level. Like what took me 3 tries to get there, she got to on the first try, and she might have still taken 3 thoughts to get to this one. Like so, this could be a 9th thought answer for a normal person.
9th thought answer.
When like
she's 4G
She's the
chess,
best.
4G chess brain going on over there.
I got my answer written down though.
Me too.
If it helps at all, another little hint here. She was like, she didn't realize. She's like, they're the bad ones, right?
Cooter.
I'm seeing a lot of Pat's guesses and a lot of Raiders guesses in the chat. One Browns and Rams. Squirrel Bob going with the shotgun approach, the scatter shot. Pats, Browns, and Rams. If you just
Nice
name all
try.
name 28 more teams. 29.
With that information, I'm actually changing mine now. I changed mine with that last information.
I kind of want to change mine too. That does
Nope, too late. I actually was the last one allowed to change.
Oop, time just ended as soon as Coop finished.
Exactly. Thank you, Maria.
All right, can we reveal?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, Saints, Buccaneers, and Cowboys. All
I was
different.
thinking Cooter is a Saints fan. And Saints are kind of the bad boys of the NFL.
See, Jalen, I went down a similar route. She's a Saints fan, and the Buccaneers are one of the top teams. They've got Tom Brady. Like, they sold their soul for the Super Bowl to get top. Like, I was just thinking, like, maybe it's the division rival who has won a Super Bowl recently.
I feel like Tom Brady doesn't give off Malfoy vibes, you know?
Oh, 100% I would have said Patriots if it was me.
I originally said Jets because like they have I personally don't like them, and they kind of have like a Slytherin vibe to them with the green and like
with the green,
and the New York, you know,
terrible color scheme.
You answered this question like people fill out their March Madness brackets if they haven't watched any basketball at the beginning of March, just picking the colors that you like.
Well, that's the thing is, then once you basically implied that she doesn't know anything about Harry Potter, she obviously wouldn't even know that they're green. So I was like, okay, now I got to pivot here.
There goes my color theory.
But did you think of another green team?
Oh no, Eagles, Packers.
The Packers.
That's such a good answer. Oh my God.
Aaron Rodgers is a Slytherin without a doubt.
Yeah.
I just started writing down the right answer as if like there's going to be a quiz on this later.
Meat bonks all around.
Meat bonks. Wow. We
Good
are
try.
big old
Hogs
triple
down
deuce on the
for
board.
this.
Whoa.
Bonk.
Meat bonk.
Meat bonk.
Thing. All right.
Yeah. You got another prompt?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I'm not showing up on the screen. Can you see me?
You're back. We see you now.
Okay, cool. So,
prank we pull.
The first word that comes to mind when you think Brady.
Who answered this?
Who answered this one? Yeah.
Oh, this is Andrew Hall.
Andrew Hall, FF.
Andrew Hall, FF. And the first word that comes to mind when you think Tom Brady, is that what you said?
The first word that comes to mind when you
Andrew,
hear Tom Brady.
Let's just take a second to acknowledge that Andrew Hall is such a good dude.
Oh my God.
Like
he's such a good dude.
He's just like a delight. A sweet angel. A delight. That's the exact word to describe Andrew Hall. Like whenever I see him, I'm like, this guy, dude. Great stuff. Great stuff, Andrew Hall, being you.
All right. The first word.
He's a Bengals fan, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
True. He is.
Okay.
I told Andrew Hall that I would mail him a FYF sticker like a year ago, and I still think about it about once a week.
JL, I think
I'm gonna send it.
You and I, as a company, we have a weakness of mailing things. Shout out
fear of the post office.
Shout out Roto Heat Brad, who took a minute
something.
to send him some stuff. Shout out JL, whose birthday present I sent to him late for his birthday the following year. So like your birthday passed. I had your birthday present purchased and at my home. Your birthday hit the following year, and then I sent your birthday present from the previous year. So I had
visited you in that time.
You had visited me in that time. I'm still like a birthday behind because of that. No, I'm stalling. I'm trying to stall. First,
I got my word.
Like Toronto Dave. Shout out Toronto Dave in the chat. He says cheater because he's in a group chat I'm in with Troy where I was like, Troy, quick, what's your favorite food? I wasn't joking, but I promise I'm not cheating moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
unless it's convenient, then I will.
Wait, I love Fantasy Dog in the chat saying, I'm not guessing on this one. Giselle.
Also, he couldn't resist. He couldn't contain himself. Also, you guys send me. Why don't you mail me a FYF shirt, dude? I'm wearing some
because you suck.
I'm wearing some like stupid frog shirt.
Some stupid frog shirt.
Coop, we ran out of adult smalls, so unfortunately you'd be swimming in whatever shirt we sent you. But next time we get some adult smalls in stock, we'll make sure to send one your way.
Yeah, Coop's actually 4.5 feet tall.
Well, that's what it says on my driver's license, but I lied because I'm only like 4'2".
Also, David, you're saying Coop, the cheater was for Brady. You exposed yourself.
That's so funny.
I got my word.
Toronto Dave, dude.
I went a different route here.
Good morning, Dave.
Your words, but I will say that someone in the chat did guess what Andrew said.
Well, then I did not get it.
Oh, we've got goat, and kisses.
Yeah, I thought about doing smooches.
Kisses.
But I thought people wouldn't get it.
It's the first thing that comes, like whenever I hear Tom Brady, I immediately think of that weird video where he kissed his son on the mouth, and it just made me a little bit uncomfortable. Like, you know what? If your family's a kiss on the mouth kind of family, no problems with it. Like, that's you do you. But as a person who grew up in a not kiss on the mouth family, weirds me out. It's weird to watch. It's weird to watch.
Where do you kiss?
Always weird.
I don't
Wait,
kiss my
you
family.
you kiss your dad in the mouth?
What?
I kiss your mother with that mouth.
The only people allowed to kiss my mother are my dad and Zach Wilson. All right.
That's fair. That's fair.
Based on this show.
All right, Maria. What is the right answer?
We have finally have some points on the board.
No.
Andrew Hall said,
Go. See, Andrew's a straight shooter. Andrew's not gonna color outside the lines. I figured he was gonna go straight chalk on this one. Clearly, Coop just copied me. So is that it? Is it a tie between Coop and I?
Yep. Simon with 0 points, Jail with 1, Coop with 1.
There's no more. There's not another round.
No,
another
I
round.
got 5.
Oh,
you got
thank
5.
God. Woo-hoo! There's still time for me to come back, baby.
I got 5. So 2 more. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Each of these is only
Okay.
worth a third of a point, though. So kind of rough.
All right. So
Simon.
this next one is actually from Alex. I know he's coming on pretty soon. Peaked in high school.
Let me just get
Alex.
the DMs open.
Yo, Coop, before we get this one, that's a great idea for the scoring rules of this game. What if we made it like each round there's 3 points available? And if we all get it, we all get 1 point. But however many people get it, split the available points. That way you get rewarded if you get like a really hard one. Like if you get it,
What
no one
happens
else
if you
does.
what if there's 3 points but only 2 people get it?
1.5 points each. 1.5
Okay, we're going floating
baby.
points. I like it.
Oh, prisoner's dilemma there.
This will be
fun.
for next week.
Next week, yeah.
Let's just try and confuse
Okay.
people as much as possible.
The player that you won't catch Alex drafting. The player that you won't catch Alex drafting.
I'm trying to think. He has been in our chat just disparaging us for
I was
months.
having the same thought, Jail. And on stream last week, like on this show, I feel like he was on here disparaging someone.
He acquired a keyboard.
We got 1 guess so far.
I may be completely off on this one, but
Oh boy. Oh boy. Who does Alex hate? I have no idea.
Who
I
would
really
he-
really should
changing
talk
Not
my
more.
even
answer.
hate though. Who would he not draft?
Ooh. I just feel like I don't even really know what Alex stands for. As a
Probably
human.
Alexander.
That's
welcoming to the
probably-
show next, Alex Korf. He's coming. We're like sitting here like I don't
bring him in
even know
now.
what I don't even know what he stands for.
Yeah, if you
I got
ever
my
met him.
answer. I changed
Okay.
it.
Okay. Oh no. Okay. I got it.
All right, ready?
Coop, you ready?
It's a really
Your
long name.
answer.
I'm ready.
Eliza Mitchell, Josh Allen, and Tony Pollard.
Tony?
Tony.
Hey,
See, I
Tony.
went Josh Allen because I feel like one of the main talking points we had with him on those trade charts was how much value quarterbacks lose in one quarterback leagues the second the season starts. Like before the draft, they have all this value. People are drafting them high, and then they are nowhere near the 6th round, 7th round picks in like the trade values once the season starts. People just don't trade for these quarterbacks. So him being the trade guy, I went for the top quarterback.
There's just so many options in this one. I feel like there's no way we're gonna hit it.
I had to pick like my thought process was like, all right, he's got to pick one of like the divisive guys, right? Like the ones that Twitter is like either all in on or all out on, like Tony Pollard or Amon-Ra St. Brown or Gabe Davis or one of those guys.
Coop, you're on the right track.
Thinking.
Shoot.
But right track means that it's not Tony Pollard.
He said,
Gabe.
I knew that. I knew that. Oh, that makes so much sense. I'm infuriated after that one.
I knew it had to be somebody a little bit spicy. Alex is quietly a spicy guy, dude. Came on the show last week. Python's out, sleeveless tee. He promised us this week he would go no shirt, so we'll see what happens.
He texted me at 1
Next
a.m.
out.
this morning and said, I'm showing up in my tank top. And I
Yo,
was
Coop, you even
doing
downplayed it.
curls.
It wasn't just the tank top. It was a mesh tank top that he showed up in last week.
Nips out.
It was nips out through
Nips
those
were
little
screaming.
holes.
Nips poking through the mesh.
Nips
Mel
were flying
girl.
around.
Yes, she is.
Also,
So,
fantasy
nobody
dog
gets
over here
points.
saying, no way. I got Davis on a million teams. Well, you know what? I wish I had Davis on more teams. I wasn't drafting him at all either. And he looks good and his role looks safe. Like, even though he didn't play in this game this week, like seeing those other receivers just slot in to heavy usage shows they want Gabe Davis in that wide receiver 2 role. So
not for Alex though, dude. He comes out, nips flying around, hogs up, dude. No Davis up in here, boy.
Davis in here, boy.
Okay, so I can't win anymore, but I can tie it. We can make this a 3-way tie.
All right, what's our last prompt?
1-0. And this is the last one. Ready?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. This was answered by none other than Jay Wall himself.
Jay Wall.
The Jay Wall?
Legend.
The Jay Wall. It was in contact with him, but I did it for this
Don't you
game.
mean Jesus?
Are you ready? His question
Yes.
was a player that is overrated. A player that is overrated.
I can like hear his voice in my head. Like I can hear him like giggling and going like, no, they suck. Yeah, just like a little hee with a they suck. But I'm having trouble putting. Oh, you know what?
Think of Jay
Yep,
Wall.
I got it.
That you guys might know who he was thinking.
Oh,
I have no idea, even though I talk to him a lot.
Also,
Oh,
you're the best.
I'm between two
All right, I got it.
here. Nope, I'm changing mine. I am changing mine.
You can go with Will
right
Disley.
Paper rips.
Fantasy Dog in the chat said Rogers.
now. Okay, if it's
Toronto
my
Day says,
original
I have
one,
no idea.
if it's my original one, I'm going to be really upset. But I feel good about this one.
Dustin said Hurts. Getting the games at Tua. Eric saying Randy Moss.
Eric, ban Eric from the chat, please. mods, remove Eric.
Think about what you did, Eric.
I feel like Eric is our biggest Evan Ingram slander rule breaker as well. Like he comes in just like
dude.
trying to get banned
Demerits
from
on
the chat.
demerits.
Yeah, I think the crazy thing is he does like, besides Scott Fish, probably the second most for charity in all of the fantasy football space, and then he comes in our chat just being a menace.
He's learned. He's
Randy
learned.
Moss. Yeah.
All
He's
right.
there in that. Actually, Scott Fish also comes in the chat being a menace. The two of those guys,
yeah.
I think they build up
Charity's
their
up front.
positive. They build up
Yeah.
their positive karma so they can just come in here and say whatever they want.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I got my answer.
Come on, too.
Okay, go for it. Javante Williams. Javante
Oh,
and Zeke.
Coop in the hog.
Coop and the hog, dude. We're on the same page. I know Jay Wall. I maybe don't know him as much as you guys, but I've seen his comments on Javante.
Hey, maybe I won't win this game, but at least I will have won a friend today.
And I know he's an Eagles fan and will take any opportunity to. I think he's a biased Eagles fan as well. Like he's
100%.
got that homer streak
Completely
running through him.
unreasonable.
And
Are
so
there
my
any-
thought was when he hears this question, he's going to use it as an opportunity to take a shot at the Cowboys. Like his first thought is like a biased, bitter Eagles fan is like, oh yeah, I can just slander the Cowboys with this one. I'm going to do it.
Dude, they had to grease up the poles in Philadelphia when they won the Super Bowl so that people wouldn't climb them and hurt themselves. Like he's probably the most
That
reasonable
was
Eagles fan.
specifically for Jay Wall.
Yeah, they have most reasonable Eagles fan.
Little do they know, Jay Wall can climb the hell out of a greased pole. He can get right up there.
Prefers them greasy.
It's nice and slippery. We made them nice and slippery for you, Jay.
The final
All right, what's the answer?
round to determine the winner. Jay Wall's answer was
Oh, you're
Damian
right.
Harris.
He has not
Ouch.
slandered a player more than Damian Harris. That is
Dude,
true.
And the thing is with Damon Harris, I'm fairly confident that Damon Harris can catch the football. It's just the Patriots offense is not set up that way. So I don't know if Damon Harris deserves the slander. Jay Wall. So fight me. Also.
Jay Wall, come on.
From a
Pick a more
non-biased
predictable answer.
non-biased Patriots fan to a non-biased Eagles fan. Fight me.
Maria,
You're the
thank
best,
you so
Maria.
much for coming on and for putting this game together. I love playing this one. I'm gonna get a point one day.
John Luke and Coop. Congratulations on your tie.
Woo!
Hey, best friends.
Is this kind of second or third? Since there
Simon,
was a first place
worst
tie.
friend. No one comes in
Second and third.
Oh, damn. God, this is rough.
Yeah. We're number 1 and number 2, like Tom Brady.
It's all just part of my story.
I'll be back next week.
This
All right, we love you.
Thank you so much, Maria.
Good luck in kindergarten.
Have a
job,
great rest of your day.
Maria
Good luck in
wins.
kindergarten.
Maria wins. Me and JL tie for second. Simon, super dead last. That's okay.
Super dead last.
You know what? I thought I had
bro.
good answers though. Like I'm looking around my desk at like the things written down: Buccaneers, Wings, Kisses, Zeke Elliott. Like, if we're playing Mad Gab, I'd be killing it right now.
You had some pretty strong answers. You had some pretty strong answers.
Hey, we got a question in the YouTube chat. Can we hit that real quick?
Yeah, let's hit it.
Nick in here saying, should I trade Devontae Adams for Debo and Antonio Gibson?
If Debo and Antonio Gibson go directly into your lineup, then I would consider the trade.
No, is what I say. I am nervous about Antonio Gibson's usage staying at this level rest of season. Like Debo, I prefer Devontae Adams rest of season, but just for the sakes of this, let's call it a lateral move because I could see people wanting Debo Samuel over Devontae Adams. Some people wanting Devontae Adams over. So I guess you get that extra piece in there, but man, I just don't have that trust for Antonio Gibson, and Devontae Adams is above Debo rest of season for me.
Yeah, Debo, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried. That offense obviously has not been passing very much. 14
should pass
targets.
more,
Jimmy G's back, baby.
But Jimmy G's
back to 1,400 yard Debo from last year, right?
Yes, and I'm hoping that is the case, but
That's
otherwise a little concerned. And Antonio Gibson, it feels like kind of trading at his height value here. So I'm with Simon.
I will add one caveat. Like I like it lineup dependent. If they both go in your lineup, don't think it's that crazy of a downgrade. Honestly, from Devontae to Debo, and you get Antonio Gibson. Now we talked about this yesterday. Just be careful that you're not creating a wagon, as we like to call it. If the other guy is consolidated, like say the other dude has like Cooper Kupp, and you're giving him Devontae Adams, you might be creating a monster that you're not going to be able to deal with down the stretch. So always be careful about what you're creating on the other end of this trade.
There was a perfect example of that in the chat. If you're on YouTube, scroll up and check out Tyler earlier. He mentioned a trade where he was going to trade away DJ Moore, but then gave us his other receivers. He's got Chase and Kupp as his 2 wide receivers in that league. It's a 14-team league, and someone said, how the heck did you do that? Pulled off a trade for Cooper Kupp. Consolidated some assets. It was multi-pieces, and now this dude in a 14-team league, no one's touching Jamar Chase and Cooper Kupp in a 14-team league for the best wide receiver duo. So it's a real point, Coop. You got to look at what it's going to do for the other team. We are going to play some hypothetically when we come back, and then our friend Alex is joining the show, and we've got Luke Johnson, beat writer, coming on with us as well. If you guys enjoyed that game we just played, Match Game, we play all sorts of games just like that over on our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. So head over to our YouTube channel, Front Yard Fantasy, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you check out the games we're playing over there and the other videos we've got coming out into your eye holes. You're listening right now to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
Surely. Kickers never retire, I think. They just continue playing for all eternity. Like, there's only ever been 30 NFL kickers.
Yeah, they're always readily available too. It seems like, you know what I mean. Like they just get called up. They're like, you kicked for us 10 years ago, right? Why don't you
run it back? That's right.
I imagine
Graham
every
Gano,
single kicker that gets the call is on a high school football field somewhere, just practicing field goals after hours. Like it's like 9 p.m. and they're out there just at the local high school kicking field goals, and the phone rings. They get a call and they're like, yeah, I'm ready. I've been practicing for this.
I have an amazing kicker story. If you guys have a second.
I got a couple.
The number 1 all-time field goal kicker is Adam Vinatieri. The next 2 guys are Morton and Gary Anderson, right? Gary Anderson was a dude from like South Africa that just played rugby and soccer. He just could absolutely boot the ball, right? They bring him over and he does like a tryout and he's just absolutely crushing the ball. And all these colleges are like, dude, we want you to come kick field goals for us. And he goes, I don't even want to play football. He goes, I want to play soccer. He goes, I want to play soccer. He goes, so if I can come to your school and play soccer, I'll also, in the fall, I'll kick for the football team. And Syracuse was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, you're on the soccer team. Like, come on. and he went to Syracuse to play soccer, but also kick field goals. And then he ended up being a top 3 point scorer in the NFL all the time.
That's ridiculous.
And his answer to recruiters was, I don't want to play football. I'll do it in my spare time.
Yeah. He's like, you got a spot for me on the soccer team. Syracuse is like, yeah, we got a spot for you.
We don't even care about our soccer team.
We don't even care.
We totally had that spot.
Right? They had to like cobble together a soccer team. Like, this guy's the captain.
Oh my God. It's like Accepted, the movie, but they just like had to throw together a whole fake soccer team.
Somehow they still got Justin Long.
Right, yeah. Like Adam Sandler's the coach. And dude, it's imagine they win the national championship. That's a movie, dog. Yeah.
Boom!
Someone call up Disney. Yeah, we just wrote a movie for you, Disney. This has Disney sports movie written all over. I'm borderline crying right here just thinking about this movie right now.
Dude, the story gets even crazier. Like I should have looked it up again, but like it was like a high school coach that went and found him, and then that high school coach ended up being somebody crazy famous that like coached for the Rams.
Stay tuned for sports. Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. And Coop, I loved that finger gun straight to the microphone.
I've been like undefeated on those. My timing's been really good on those for a couple of weeks now. You know, every once in a while you're gonna miss one. You're not gonna hit on all of them. You know, every once in a while you have a finger gun that's your Amon-Ra St. Brown take, and you don't hit. You know, but I mean,
You shoot for the moon and you miss. You know,
I'm saying,
Happens
it's
to the
like
rest of us.
Okay, I missed one finger gun, but like think of how many people haven't been to the moon.
Right. And Coop, I just want to say, don't let this let's get in your head. Don't get the yips here. Like we don't want a kicker situation, a Rodrigo. No, who was the kicker that the Buccaneers drafted in like the second round? Roberto Aguayo. It was Roberto Aguayo. Hopefully we get a situation. You can get it back together. I believe in you.
I'll go with I'm gonna ease back in with some right-handed ones, on the safe side. I was flying a little too close to the sun, you know what I mean, with the lefties. So we'll play it. We'll continue to play. Now that you've brought attention to it, everyone will be making sure that I don't do that.
Absolutely. We had some questions in the chat right there. I see RA in here wants to know. He said, What's up? James Robinson or Antonio Gibson in half PPR this week? If it's this week only, I'm going Gibson. He's going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. James Robinson playing the Chargers, I believe. The Jaguars play the Chargers. Give me Gibson in this one. James Robinson is still likely splitting work. Gibson's the dude there for right now. And maybe this is wrong, but I don't expect this to be a blowout from the Eagles over the Commanders based on what we've seen from the Commanders through 2 weeks. I expect the Eagles to win this game, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout where like Gibson gets taken out and it's a J.D. McKissic game script. What about you, Coop? Are you going Gibson or James Robinson?
I'm going Gibson. I like Gibson. I mean, the Eagles. I mean, the spreads are oddly similar. So, Chargers are favored by 7. Eagles are favored by 6.5. So, but I'm with you. I feel like it's a little closer on the Eagles Washington side, and you got to go with the guy that's playing the full share versus a guy that's playing skews more rundown, which James Robinson kind of is right now. They still got ETN, a good player, went to a fine college.
Absolutely. JL, you got some hypothetically for us this fine morning?
I do. You guys ready to get into it?
Let's get into it.
All right. This next segment, hypothetically, if this is your first time listening to it, is a fun one. I am going to pose a collection of hypothetical questions, scenarios, situations, philosophical questions, what have you, to my two co-hosts here. They have to answer the question or respond to the hypothetical situation. And their only rule is to overthink the absolute hell out of their answer. You ready, guys?
Let's do it.
All right. Simon, you were going first on this one. Your first prompt. Would you rather Play 14 seasons as a starting NFL punter who plays nude from the waist down, or never talk to your mom again.
Oh, this is the easiest one you could have ever asked. My mom is truly one of my best friends. Like, don't get me wrong, we went through a rough patch, end of high school, beginning of college. Like, as I hit 18, I think our relationship got a little rocky. It was only call mom on Call Your Mother Mondays in college, right?
Staying out past curfew,
failing classes, and collecting
not
Beanie
calling my
Babies.
mom.
No, you know what my bad patch in high school, like when I was a bad kid, it was when I was buying Pokemon cards secretly with all of my tutoring money. Like when I was sending that in the mail. That was my bad kid phase in high school. But I'm
that's the nerdiest bad boy story I've ever heard.
Oh, I
have to interject. I used to be a bit of a bad boy myself, with my tutoring money. I was buying Pokemon cards. Yeah, I got in the straight and narrow. I like to picture you talking to like Danny Trejo about like, he's like, I used to be in a gang, but now I'm on the straight and narrow. I'm an actor, and you're like, yeah, I used to be a bit of a rough and tumble guy myself.
Tutor to shut up to his
let me tell you about the moment that made me come clean, right? Like everyone's got that moment. They're going through this bad boy phase, and then something happens that just like it forces you to get your life together, right? I was in my room. I was laying on the floor next to my bed, going through my Pokemon card binder that no one in my family knew about. It was secret. Like I was holding on to it. I'm 16 years old, laying on the floor, and all of a sudden
one rip.
The door opens. My sister walks in, and I shove the binder under my bed, and she very quickly is like, "What is that? What'd you shove under your bed?" Like she's immediately thinking it's porn or something, right? Like immediately, like, you idiot. I'm telling. And I was like, just porn. Don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. She reaches under the bed, finds the Pokemon cards, and in a deal not to tell my parents that I had been wasting all my money on Pokemon cards in the mail, she made me go through and read every single one of the Pokemon cards in that binder to her. The name, the HP, their moves and abilities.
Like more of a punishment for her.
While she asked questions, like just humiliating me one by one. All of this being said, my mom and I are best friends now. I talk to my mom on the phone almost every day. I will punt that football wing dangling for 14 years every single day. It's going to be a thing. I'm going to be known as like, I'm sure there's like a Winnie the Pooh Bear, like pun in there somewhere that you could come up with. I'll get a cool nickname from someone clever.
We need the Poonter.
You know what? It's
That's the stupidest
we'll workshop that. We'll workshop that one.
There's very little you could put on that other side, JL, to make me not pick never talk to my mother again.
Simon in high school. 16 years old, you are squarely in high school, hiding candy and Pokemon cards under your bed. Like,
I like how your punishment, your mom was like, talk to me about something you care about.
Most parents would be like going under your bed and like looking for like drugs and stuff. Like your parents find that, and then they're crying. They're like, oh my God, our son's a loser.
She came in to ask for the drugs, but
why can't he have weed under his bed like a normal kid?
I didn't even know about the YouTube channel where I was opening the Pokemon cards on YouTube. Like I had built up a nice little following of like 50 subscribers.
50,000 subscribers.
Bad boy Simon opens up his jacket. He's like, I got the rare Charizards right here, boys.
Hey, Simon here. Make sure you like and subscribe.
It's like,
doing an unboxing today, my Pokemon cards.
I would say really cringy things like, oh, I really like the art on this one. Like it would just say,
rip, what's the dip?
And like I just happen to have some later. I'm not ashamed of them anymore. Now they just live in my desk, just piles of Pokemon cards. But if you go back and watch the videos, there's like this thing like when you open a pack, you know where the rare card in it's going to be. So you hold it face down and you like count the card out and then slip it to the back so that you look at it last, and then you go through it and make cringy comments every time. Man, I had no reason to tell on myself here about being a high school Pokemon card addict, but I did.
None at all. Nobody.
I'm pretty sure.
On that note, JL, I'm punting
cards.
Hog out.
Yeah. All right, cool. What are you doing? Would you rather play 14 seasons as a starting NFL punter who plays nude from the waist down, or never talk to your mom again?
Yeah, I'm taking this one even beyond what Simon saying. Like, I think Simon made a great point that like, dude, if you were able to play 14 seasons doing that, you would be a legend, bro. People would be so about it, dude. Like Andy Hogs out, Cooper. Nanny hogs out. Coop and
Can't take
Coop.
kids to the game.
Just Coop and boot it. Yeah, I mean, I guess you. Your games would be 18 and older games. You can only play night games, but yeah,
only play night games.
Yeah, I think that'd be legendary, dude.
You're only playing on Amazon Prime. They're the only ones who can get away with it. It's Thursday night football every week on Amazon Prime is what you're doing.
Gotta
touch. All right, guys. Well, we answered that one. Moms win. Moms prevail. Let's move on to our next prompt. Would you rather drop a random fantasy player off one of your teams every time you fart, or every picture you take gets immediately sent to your entire family?
Whoa.
So that is, would you rather drop a random fantasy player off of one of your teams every time you fart? And just, I feel like this question is coming. It is one of your teams. It's a random team. Okay. You don't get to pick. It's all you don't know that it happens. It's just you quietly drop that player off the team. And the second option is every picture you take gets immediately sent to your entire family. Coop, you were starting with this one. Hit me with your questions. Hit me with your thoughts, your overthinkingness.
Important question. When we say entire family, how far are we going in terms of like second?
I would
cousins,
say
third
two uncles, aunts, and cousins and grandparents.
And
but
of
like
course,
not beyond that. We're not getting into second cousins, not getting first cousin, not getting into like cousins that cousins that just lived in your neighborhood back in the day.
Right. Yeah. It's like not even your real uncle. It's just your dad's friend.
Yeah. I'm on the line with, cousins by marriage.
I would say, okay. Yeah. So, but everyone who would care is included. Like people that you actually like see on Thanksgiving would be included.
Right.
Okay. I think that this is tough.
Toronto Day said, I've never taken a nude, so I'm Gucci. That's the only embarrassing picture you could take is a nude of yourself.
Right. Yeah. I've definitely taken. I'm just thinking about the weird pictures. Like just
all the screenshots I have that just like with no context would be like, what is wrong with you?
So many screenshots.
Yeah, I'm like mentally going through my photo roll and going like, yeah, that one wouldn't be good. Yeah, that one.
So many pictures of Rosie.
Good. Oh man,
got this picture of Simon on my phone wearing a hard hat.
That was me trying to fix the internet the other day.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
But a bunch of my pictures on my phone are of you guys.
I think on this one, you know what? The worst case scenario, no, but it's the whole family. Like that's what's rough right here is it's everyone, right? Like it's grandma, it's my aunts and uncles, it's my family in the Netherlands that doesn't speak English and I don't talk to very often. Know what I mean? Like I should probably talk to them more. This would make me feel worse for not talking to them more because they would just randomly get like, I would seem like the most self-centered person on earth if I chose this option. Oh God, Jail, this is really running me through the ringer on this one. And then I'm also thinking just of like pictures I've sent. Like Jail, I've sent you some pictures that I don't want sent to my family. Like one of my favorite moves in college was to tuck everything, take a nude selfie from up above, and then send it to my friends in the middle of class. Like
yeah. The many chemistry lectures ruined by that fun prank that you used to pull.
Oh, it's such a good one, right? Because really, I come out scot-free.
Love it when you somehow timed it perfectly with the big lecture hall classes that I took.
That was always on purpose every time. You know what? If anyone in my family doesn't want to be my friend anymore after they see the pictures I'm sending, I can make a rule. No ween pics, okay? Fair. I'll never take a ween pic, and we're good.
According to Dave, that's the only embarrassing pic you can have. So
anything else my family could see that I would take a picture of, maybe they got some questions, but it's nothing unrepairable. But dropping Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor from your fantasy roster, that's unrepairable to your team and potentially unrepairable for your relationship in that league. Like you're getting kicked out of some leagues by this commissioner. So sorry, family.
What the hell are you doing? I'm sorry. I had Chipotle.
You're getting every picture.
I can't hold it in anymore.
Yeah. And I would have dropped 37 players already this morning. Like I'm going to run out of players to drop. I'm going to wake up.
Roster.
I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm going to go to bed with full teams and wake up with empty teams because I'm just ripping them in my sleep. Like this is pictures easy.
Oh my God. I see some questions in the chat. We're going to hit those in between the rounds of our game. But stay tuned. Stay tight. Stay tight.
Stay tight.
Over there.
Stay hogs up, hogs out.
Hogs up. Yeah, hogs ready.
I gotta go.
Coop, what do you think?
After scrolling through my pictures, I gotta go with the pictures thing now because I do fantasy football for a living, so it can't really be just ruining and losing every fantasy league. And the thing is, it's not even so much about my own teams. Like that ruins the league, the whole league. Like if you just drop Christian McCaffrey, you've ruined your league. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
can't be
that's
doing
what I'm
that.
saying.
I could deal with having to explain to my family why I photoshopped yet another picture of Troy King. Like
why I have 50 screenshots of the Sleeper app.
Why I have like 10 pictures of Toronto Dave on my phone just with a scowl on his face. Yeah.
Golfing.
Yeah, and it's definitely more than 10. So yeah, Toronto. Troy is very memeable. So yeah, I would just deal with that. That would have to be what I'm doing. So
all right,
guys,
give me that side.
About to join us right now is our friend Alex, peaked in high school. We probably got to get his take on this very important question. Alex, Joe, you want to pose this question to him?
Yeah, we need to know,
Alex.
Would you rather drop a random fantasy player off of one of your fantasy teams every single time that you fart, every single time you bust ass, or every picture you take gets immediately sent to your entire family?
Oh, my family, I already send them my nudes. So like it's a power play. This is no change.
Why do you think I was taking them?
Right,
yeah, this is nothing.
Mom responds like, hey, try a different watch this time.
Yeah, the lighting's a little off this week.
So your family would have just gotten the 10 pictures, the 10 selfies you just took in that sleeveless shirt. They would all those.
They're just like, we get these all the time. Like this is normal.
Yeah.
They're gonna start getting mad when you start US screenshots of like the Carrabba's menu or something. Like, where are the nudes, man?
Alex, thank you so much for coming on today with us, my man. For those of you that do not know Alex, he's also known as Peaked in High School over on Reddit. You can find him on Twitter at peakedinhs_FF. He is the creator of the almighty trade charts, the elite trade charts that we loved looking at. And he's a contributor for The Athletic and 4for4 Football. Alex, I truly love the trade charts you put out, and I get excited to talk about them with you a little bit every week.
And Simon, you forgot he's also daddy of the fantasy football subreddits.
He is.
Producer Keith, can you please post the link to that trade chart in the comments for everybody so that we can all take a little peek in high school at what we're talking about here?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
Keith. I almost answered for Keith. Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Keith will do that.
Keith's I can answer that, 100%.
Keith's got that, no problem.
Will Keith follow me back on Twitter? That's the real question.
Everybody follow
Keith 2 days ago.
Follow Keith. His at what is it? At Keith Scope.
Keith Scope.
SCOPE. Follow him. I want scour his timeline for pictures of him. We want memes. Craig already sent one out.
Do the advanced search for offensive words on his Twitter account.
Exactly, dude. Yeah.
Give him the treatment. Just put him through the ringer.
Yeah. Get on there, dude. Check Keith out, dude.
Alex, for people that are maybe tuning in for the first time for this segment, do you want to tell them a little bit about what these trade charts are, how you come to the numbers, and then we can jump into some of the things that changed this week?
Sure. So, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I noticed that there was kind of a deficiency of a lot of different trade value charts where they had an issue comparing first cross positions, right? Like, it's really easy to rank your running backs. You know who you want, but when you're looking at like a running back versus a wide receiver, that's where they maybe break down a running back versus tight end. So what I did is I went through and I built a model that looks at those one-for-one positional trades effectively to calibrate those ranks against each other. What I'll do is I'll seed them with actual expert consensus ranks to get a snapshot of the market and then just kind of adjust them and then put it into a nice clean format where we're looking at them against each other. So fundamentally, these trade value charts are designed for one-for-one positional trades. Let's say your team has 7 running backs on it, just like mine and Front Yard Fantasy does. And I need some wide receivers. Any of you guys, we could trade my running backs for those wide receivers. Seriously, send me trades, guys. I'm trying. But that's what we're looking at. And then if you have a lot of depth, you can look at 2-for-1 trades, 3-for-1s, but then the numbers get a little bit different. But that's really what we're looking at for a trade value chart. So this is helping you understand the market, look for some potential players around your strengths, and it can help you create those trades.
Hey, so we got a trade question earlier. Yeah. Sorry, JL, shut up.
No, go ahead. Shut up.
Shut up, JL. So we got a question earlier, and this is the perfect chart for this question because it was an open-ended question. We had somebody that had DJ Moore as a guy. You know, they had wide receivers emerge on their team to the point where DJ Moore became expendable. They need a running back. So like take a look at your trade chart here, Alex. Who are some guys that you think would be a good one-for-one swap for a guy like DJ Moore?
Sure. So some of the guys I would be looking at, DJ Moore has definitely dropped. So he's going to be a hard one to sell because I think just the consensus is probably like down, right? In theory, you might be able to get AJ Dillon in 1 PPR. 1 point PPR is the one I'm looking at. I don't know if you're going to be able to get that one done. I think people are a little bit higher on Dillon, just like the perception. But CEH, I think you could probably get that one done. David Montgomery, Kareem Hunt, maybe a Breece Hall would be interesting.
So all the players you just mentioned were all in tier 4 along with DJ Moore.
Yeah.
David Montgomery was the example I gave there.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, that's perfect.
So DJ Moore lost 9.5 value points. I don't know what I should refer to the unit as, but essentially lost 9.5 points.
I think is what it is.
Hog points. Yeah.
Hog points. Yeah. So
it went down a hog and a half or so.
That was Cole's last week.
From last week to this week. All those guys that you mentioned are all trending upwards. It looks like, apart from Breece Hall, who's just neutral, just stalled out there at 27. So I feel like that might go into it, right? If you're hitting a wall with your league mates, maybe I feel like what those trends tell you a lot of is like how people might be getting affected by recency bias. Like when there's a massive shift like that.
The beautiful thing of this chart as well is that you can see how, because the positive and negatives there kind of capture the sentiment. So you can see other guys that are trending down as well. So maybe in your mind, you look at it and say, okay, I still like Ezekiel Elliott and DJ Moore's trending down. Zeke is trending down. Maybe it'll be easier for me to make that swap because the sentiment on these guys is clearly both going down versus trying to trade a guy whose sentiment is going down in DJ Moore for a guy like AJ Dillon, whose sentiment is now going up.
Yes, I love that word sentiment because I think that there's what a lot of people do is they make the mistake of they think of player values as like this objective value, right? As if like almost like I use this example of like hands in poker, right? Like pair of twos is always going to lose to a pair of kings. It's objectively, their values are objective in that game, and people tend to treat fantasy players' values that way. Even though they're really more subjective, right? We don't really know whether Nick Chubb is going to finish higher than CEH. We're just guessing. And so their values are more about how people feel about it versus what their actual objective performance is going to be.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, you captured it.
Absolutely. Dave in the chat agreeing, saying big facts, JL, and dynamic. Alex, were there any this week? We get big movers every week. It looks like DJ Moore was a fairly big mover at -9.5. Are there any other players that were huge movers, moved maybe more than a hog and a half this week? And what are you thinking about those big moves on the trade value chart?
I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown moved 10 hogs.
10 hogs. 10.5 hogs. 33.5.
Yeah, 33.5. He actually almost broke the scale that I use in R because he was so much more than everyone else that everyone else just looked like they just didn't do anything. Other people did well too.
Do you guys think it's just because week 1 people were like, oh, maybe a fluke, and then week 2 is kind of similar to what Coop's realization was? It's like, shoot, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not many people have been to the moon. Amon-Ra St. Brown going up 33.5 points this week.
Yeah,
he has been
commuting every day.
Yeah, that's the biggest jump I think I've ever seen. I can't remember anyone doing maybe the year Chubb went down and Kareem Hunt flew up the boards to only get hurt again. I don't think it was that much, but 33.5 is insane. What are you guys doing with him? Do you have him on any teams?
That's the power.
That's the power. I have so many teams.
That's the power of having a really slow 58-yard run where you get tackled from behind.
Yeah.
Just had to throw that in.
He's still doing it.
I will never give up.
His value does seem a little bit too high in this chart though.
6th wide receiver.
He's ahead of Tyreek Hill and AJ Brown now. Yeah,
that's a little absurd. So this is like what Coop said. You're measuring sentiment here. So this is something I'm looking at this. I'm like, I want to take advantage of that. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown in a ton of fantasy leagues. I'm about to go spend a little time later, sending out some trade offers, maybe.
If I could trade Amon-Ra St. Brown for Aaron Jones straight up right now, I know Aaron Jones is a little bit lower on the trade value chart. I'm doing it. I am doing that 10 days out of 10 probably. Sure, there's a chance we see a Cooper Kupp-esque season, but I just don't think it's going to go to that level on the Detroit Lions. I just don't think we're going to see this level of sustained success from Amon-Ra St. Brown with Jared Goff throwing him the ball. So if I can get Aaron Jones, holy cow.
I kind of like this conversion that 5 points equals Toronto Dave, 5 points equals 1 hog. That actually does match up kind of with what I was kind of doing the math on some of them. It does match up with some of the examples you just gave.
Yeah, we need a hog unit translation.
Yeah,
Dimensional analysis
5 points
into
is a hog.
hogs.
Alex, should you add like a legend on this next week, letting people know that one hog
You get a hog
equals
score?
5 points?
I'll consider it. I'll put it on
Okay.
my whiteboard.
I'll consider wasting my own time.
Appreciate
we
you
get
taking
that-
your very
that-
serious and mathematical chart and just throw some hogs on there.
Yeah,
That hog chart.
all
But
four
yeah.
people that know what you're talking about will laugh, and everyone's like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
The three of us in Toronto, Dave. Yeah, thank you.
Well, they'll figure it out. I see B Kings in here saying, "What's up, Alex? Thanks for helping me in disc."
Kings.
Did you help him out in disc golf?
Yes, I'm an avid disc golfer, but no, probably my Discord is what he's more than likely referring.
Wait, you have a disc golf Discord?
I do. It's exclusively disc golf, and then we sometimes talk about fantasy football, but mostly disc golf.
What's your handicap?
Shout out disc golf, the fastest growing sport in America.
In case you guys don't know, I haven't played disc golf in 10 years. Please don't send me disc golf.
Please stop DMing me pictures of your discs.
Fastest growing sport in America.
No more disc pics.
Yeah.
The fastest growing sport in America among stoners and Sublime fans.
AKA college freshmen.
That's right.
Oh, I made it to junior, senior year and still played, but then we were kind of done.
You want to chuck some disc, bruh?
Alex out there, junior. Sublime with Rome, bro.
It's the sport. It's the hobby you pick up whenever you have no money, but you have 3 discs, right? Like if you've got no money and 3 discs, it's like, I know what I'm doing today.
And
the
this
only
is a
thing
sport for you.
I can do that's not sitting on my couch and doing
Are you
nothing.
home and broke?
And
Do you hate your life? But do you have 3 discs?
Do you have a glow in the dark poster that's of mushrooms that's kind of like made of like a felt material? Have we got a game for you?
Do you have any blacklight posters?
Do you have a blacklight poster of a frog sitting on a mushroom? Have we
We're
got a
looking
game
for
for
you.
you?
Is Jack Black in your top 3 funniest people of all time list? Do we
Tenacious
have
D,
a
your
game
favorite
for
band.
you?
Disc golf's
So,
actually kind of all that said, disc golf is actually kind of dope.
Yeah, disc golf
Disc
slaps,
golf's
bro.
the bomb.
Yeah,
It's
it's
so
pretty
much fun.
I've never actually played for real disc golf.
I would only
I just played
sick,
like
bro.
PE disc golf.
I would only make the thing is the only thing that sucks is if you're not good at it, it's a lot of running around picking up frisbees. But when you do make a cool shot, dude, it is electric.
Oh, it feels so good when you when it like hits it loudly and the chains are clanking and you're
All
like,
right, we have to do a disc golf. We now have to all get together and play disc golf and film it and make some content out of it.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
now
do it in
convinced.
the Massachusetts area. I suggest.
Yeah,
we have
in
a
the winter.
lot of good courses running. Yeah, the winter if possible.
Here's the problem when I play disc golf. I know just enough to throw it really wrong. Know what I mean? Like if I knew nothing, then it would just be like a bad throw, but I know just enough to like get some power behind it and really chuck it into the lake. Like just lose the hell out of that disc. It's dangerous.
Do yourself and Google the YouTube video. It's a literal 7-second video called "What the Fuck, Richard." It is the greatest disc golf video of all time. Maybe
that video.
Maybe the best 7-second video of all time, dude. And it explains exactly what Simon's talking about. Like
we're going back to the Vine days.
Heck of a throw. Heck of a
R.I.P.
throw.
Vine.
Think it goes over the highway.
So,
Yeah.
Alex, I got a question for you.
Cool. You guys remember I'm here. Okay, let's do this.
Oh, what's your handicap in disc golf?
Great question.
Probably only like 4 or 5, to be honest. Back in the day.
Really?
I
That could
was-
be impressive. I
got long arms. I could whip it.
How many
I bet
hogs?
you can.
How many hogs would you say that is?
Probably 4 or 5. Is it 1-to-1 stroke per
That's
hog?
25 hogs.
I'm saying it's
25 points.
1-to-1 stroke per hog. I think that's where we got to move on from the
Although
conversation.
that's exactly something that our audience could understand.
Now you're speaking.
Our audience is like, I get it. Now I get it.
But for real, Alex, why do people love your trade charts so much? Why these trade values over? People have done this before. What makes yours so special? It sounds super mean, but I mean it in a good way.
Right.
I mean, I
he's
think-
asking because he knows yours are special.
Yeah.
I think they all have value, right? Everyone's doing something a little bit differently, and they all are kind of presenting something a little bit differently as well. Like, so the ones I do with the Athletic and 444 are looking at specific minds that are thinking that they're better than the consensus, which I mean, they are, right? 444 and Athletic both have great experts that do it. So looking at that versus the market, and mine's capturing the market because I'm looking at an aggregate. Some of the other ones that out there are looking at a smaller subset of experts, and that leads to some bias. And then not many of them really are looking at across the positions the way I break it out. I think it just makes it a lot more visually appealing. And it just seems so natural. I don't know why everyone didn't do it, but now it's mine. So if anyone does,
suck it, everyone else.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty cool. And every week I enjoy going through and just looking at like the moves. It helps me identify players that I should be trading for. And one that kind of screams at me here is Austin Eckler lost 10.5 points, kind of dropped a tier out of that top tier with those other guys. But I still kind of consider him up there with that tier, the DeAndre Swift, the Dalvin Cook. So that's a guy maybe I'm looking at. Maybe you could even pull off Amon-Ra St. Brown for Austin Eckler right now. Like they're near each other in rankings. That's a move maybe you could look to make. Do you see anything, Alex?
That's the hype factor.
Had to move Eckler down because he only got 10 targets this week.
Only 10 targets.
I think they're concerned that Herbert isn't going to play, right? Like, I mean, he could get a punctured lung just like Tyrod. That can happen, right? Same doctor. I mean, right? His ribs are pretty banged up, and then also his usage on Eckler was not the same as last year. We're seeing a couple guys come in there a little bit more. That being said, that's the negative, right? I'm presenting the negative. I still like Eckler. I still think he is. I would still rather have Eckler over Amon-Ra. I don't think it's close, to be honest. But
do you like in these charts, whenever I'm looking and like I look at a wide receiver in that same tier, and I know your chart corrects for this, like the positional value, but do you ever find it difficult to like make a trade in that same tier from one position to another? Like even though Amon-Ra St. Brown and Austin Eckler are close on this chart, I imagine I would have difficulty making that trade, but maybe not the other way. Like if I had Javonte Williams and I wanted to get like a Michael Pittman, like I think that would be easier the other direction. Like, do you see that positional scarcity coming into play maybe more so than is represented here?
Yeah, even though I try and correct for it, it's so much easier when you have too many running backs to trade for a wide receiver. I have almost never been able to trade the wide receiver for a running back and get similar value. Like you're going to have to. I just never have been able to do it. And trust me, I've tried. Like I probably do 10 trades a week.
Get attached to their running back.
I tell you, that's why I said it yesterday. That's why I said the only reason I said pick up Raheem Mostert over like the hot rookies is that
Garrett Wilson.
Running backs are the currency of fantasy football. If you want to make trades, those are the players you want.
Which is why I built the chart this exact way. I've actually have that in my methods. Is running back is the currency, like that exact phrase. Because
even in Dynasty, they hold value when they're at that top level, and people really like just tend to really want to hold on to their running back value versus wide receivers. They're just a little more willing to give up, which is just very interesting.
And with zero RB and hero RB such popular strategies these days, there's always somebody out there who just has a ton of wide receivers and would just love for you to give them your fifth running back. You know what I mean? They're clamoring for,
that Naeem Hines.
Right. They want the Hines.
That was the trade I sent you, JL. And you literally didn't even open it. I'm still upset about that.
Naeem Hines for Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett? Yeah.
Let's talk it out. Let's talk this out. Let's talk
I
this
didn't want to
out.
do it.
Well, you got to at least open it.
Tyler Lockett is seven points on this chart. Well, I didn't see it at first, so that's, I guess, my bad. But when I did look at it, I didn't like it.
They're in the same.
It is pretty fair now. Yeah, according to the chart. This was before the season started. So Naeem Hines, I don't think was as high. Maybe you have the charts for that, Alex. You can tell us, but
they're in the same hog pen. Same hog pen.
Same hog pen. You know who I want to talk
about? Hog pen. Yeah.
You know who I want to talk about before you do that, JL, is Toronto Dave with the super chat. Another toonie over there. He's a Team Simon, always and forever. My man, Dave, good morning. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. He said it's about a hog and a half. Yeah, a toonie's worth at least a hog and a half.
Yeah.
I don't even think we hit the super chat from before.
Hog bucks.
Maybe we did, Simon. You can tell me. But Lucius gave us $2. Said thinking about selling Derrick Henry, who is a trade target. So Derrick Henry, according to this trade value charts curated by our good friend Alex here, is dropping by 7 points in PPR 1 QB redraft leagues. It's pretty interesting. Are you guys can you sell Derrick Henry at this point?
So
if you do, how are you doing it? How are you approaching it?
I'm saying, do you want Derrick Henry? And everyone's saying, yeah.
Like, I mean, if you could,
and then they accept and then end of deal.
That's how I would start it. I'd be like, do you think Derrick Henry's good? And they would be like, yeah. And then from there you could say, well, I'm willing to trade him.
Would you trade Derrick Henry for Michael Thomas?
No.
I would want Henry.
Yeah, give me Henry.
All right.
Your Henry.
No, I said no immediately. I probably said it too fast for it
too
to
fast,
register. Yeah. But no, I would not do that. If I was going to trade, I think Derrick Henry, maybe a Derrick Henry from Mike Evans type trade. For me, a lot of times with the guys I play with, I need to have some sort of narrative to these trades. Like I need to come at them and be like, dude, you're 0-2. You can't afford to lose again. Mike Evans is suspended. You know what I mean? Like, let's
your
do a
mom
trade.
hates you.
Your mom hates you, dude. You
have a shopping addiction.
You don't tune into my morning show, which makes me sad.
You don't text me on my birthday.
You didn't text me on my birthday. You left my Tyler Lockett for Nyheim Hines trade on red all offseason.
Wait. I want to get off this train.
Yeah, so you need some sort of narrative because, like, a lot of times people are like, "What are you getting at?" You know what I mean? Like, I know you're up to something. Maybe that's just because I do this for work, but they're like, "I know you're up to something," so I need to have some sort of like story to tell them. So, like, trading for a guy like Mike Evans, it's reasonable now.
I really dislike that, like, default to just being suspicious of your league mates when it comes to trading.
No, have you seen that shift even since 5-6 years ago or whatever, when you were, when people didn't know who I was at all 2 years ago. I literally didn't have a face, and I got so many more trades done.
Congratulations on the face. I really, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, you got a good one. You got a great one.
For being elite. CIA, they gave me this one.
Now that you're on our show with your shirt off, it's like, good luck getting the trade. Good luck getting the trade done.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now every time I send a trade, they're just like, "What are you doing?" I'm just like, no, trust me, this is a win-win. Like, and then I had to explain it. Like, Mike Evans is suspended. Take this slightly used Darrell Henderson, but yeah, it gets tougher for sure.
Yeah. I feel like if you've been listening to me, you would have heard how most of my trades have gone for me, and they're pretty bad, pretty poorly over my dynasty career. Like I consistently, I make pretty good draft decisions. I make pretty good waiver wire decisions. I consistently make just the worst trade decisions for my team over and over and over again. So if you're listening to this, don't be scared to trade with me. It's probably going to work in your favor. All of my league mates, JL can attest to that. Yeah, JL can attest to that. It's like magic. But I get that feeling, Alex. People are like, "Oh, you probably know something I don't know, and that's why you're sending this trade." But it's about building that trade relationship. Like start building it. Get a good trade under your belt with this person, and then next time it'll be easier.
Yeah, be friends with the people in your league. Like, that's key, right? Like, text them on their birthday and then send a trade request. Read their trades. Don't leave them on red.
Send them edible arrangements.
Happy birthday. I got you this ripoff in our fantasy league.
Yeah, exactly.
And make sure the happy birthday text is the first text you've sent them in 6 months. Okay. Yeah. That's how you really,
and then make sure it's a belated birthday text.
And then bonus points if the last text before that is them wishing you happy birthday. Like if it was them happy birthday, and then the next one is
double bonus points if the last text was you wishing them happy birthday the year before.
Yeah, and then immediately send the trade offer right within a second, just so it's like, just say HBD, and then immediately
Darrell Williams for Najee Harris. Just send it. Let it rip.
Alex, I want to thank you so much for coming on and talking some trade values with us today. Any final thoughts on these trade charts? Anything, any knowledge you want to make sure everyone knows before we let you go?
No, definitely. Just take a look, have fun, talk to your league mates, send some trades.
Make some trades. Guys, if you are not doing so already, go follow our friend Alex on Twitter. He's at PeaktonHS_FF, and check out his Patreon as well, Peakton High School. That is school with a K. You can find the link in his Twitter bio as well. Alex, thank you so much for coming on today, my man. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Talk to you later.
Alex. Peace.
Coming up shortly, we have beat writer from the New Orleans Saints, Luke Johnson, joining the show. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
We got to get a team in Honolulu. Like, what about that, Ray? You think Oakland? Like, nobody's talking about Honolulu for the Oakland A's to move to. How bad ass would that be to have a Major League Baseball team? Instead, they want to go to like where it's 120 degrees in the desert of Vegas.
Right.
Ray, they should pick up and go to Honolulu. That would be epic right there for the A's.
They could go to Honolulu, and instead of playing 12 games against a team throughout the course of the year, you just play a 12-game set. Just get it done.
What's the flight from the Bay Area? 4 hours?
It's depending which direction you're going, it's 5.5.
Okay, that's not terrible. You'd have to manage the schedule a bit.
Right.
But it's doable. Like, you play your West Coast games, and then maybe you give an extra day. Like you play in San Francisco through Sunday, and then you have your Monday off. Everybody gets their Monday off, and then they play, out in Hawaii for 4 games. Then they come back.
It's very similar time-wise for us in California, in the Bay Area, to go to Hawaii as it is to go to New York. It's very similar. So, yeah, like you're saying, Giants do that to go to the Mets. The A's do that to go to the Yankees. They do it, so it would be very similar.
They would be they've already got the baseball background. I mean, they're dominant. The island loves their baseball. And Ray, you could even rebrand the team from the Oakland A's to the Oakland Lays. You can do the Lays, Ray. Look at that.
Good. That's actually, there's no way that would ever happen, but that's pretty good, Kyle. On the fly.
I'm giving away like free marketing right here.
Good work.
Right on the show.
The plan is for them to stay here, but the fans hate them. I don't know if the city likes them. They can't. I mean, it's embarrassing. I don't know. The plan
There's
is
a lot of land in Hawaii. Just think about the views, Ray, of the Pacific. It would put your crap ballpark in San Francisco to shame. Like, everybody thinks that's a good view.
Right.
They'd have like waterfalls and real palm trees and the Pacific Ocean.
People
like,
trolling fire in the 7th inning
They would
stretch.
make the Giants Park look like, the vet in Philly. It would look that awful if they moved to Hawaii.
And you go to your flip-flops or shorts. They serve Mai Tais. They give Lays away. Or, the first 5,000 fans, whatever.
Well, everybody in the chat room loves it. Every time I get a compliment, I don't bring it up on the show.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I don't want to be that guy.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network.
Welcome back in, everybody. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. And joining us right now on stage, we have New Orleans Saints beat writer for the New Orleans Advocate, Luke Johnson, coming up to talk some Saints football with us. Give us that inside scoop. What's up, Luke?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. How are y'all doing today?
Wonderful.
Doing
Thank
great.
you.
Great name.
Thank you for
Great
joining
name.
us. Joe, you a little biased on that name?
Yeah, a little biased, but it's the best name ever.
So John Luke likes the name Luke Johnson. That makes
Yeah.
That
I
100%
can't really
out.
put that one together.
Trying to figure that one out. Luke, it's been a interesting season start for the New Orleans Saints here. I think a lot of people maybe didn't know what to expect from this team. A lot of changes. It was weird for me seeing a new head coach out there. It's a new quarterback, Jameis Winston, back not injured. My first question, I'm just curious, what are the expectations around the New Orleans Saints franchise whenever they're looking at the season? What are they thinking is going to happen this year?
Well, I think the expectations are pretty high for them, both internally and kind of around the fan base. And I think when we were watching training camp, we kind of saw why. They have a lot of really interesting offensive weapons. I think their defense is going to be finish the season as like a top 5 defense. They got just a bunch of dudes at every single level of that defense. So I think there's reason for optimism.
Yeah.
And then Jameis Winston, breaks 4 bones in his back, and you see how fragile the whole thing is. I think there's a lot of concern right now through 2 games about what's going on with this offense. If this offense is going to be able to kind of get on track, I think you can see the elements there. You can see that fourth quarter against Atlanta when it all started clicking, we're like, wow, those guys can cook. They can be very, very good. But that's 1 quarter through 8 quarters where they've been even anywhere close to what people were expecting to see. And the other 7 quarters have been pretty brutal, to be honest. So, I I don't want to make any like big sweeping judgments off of 2 games. I think they still have a lot of time to figure this out. I still think they have a lot of really, really talented players. But if their offense is going to be inconsistent like this, and they're going to be relying on their defense to win games, it's a lot like the formula they had to use last year when they were missing, 80 players from that team. And they ended up having to kind of scrape together a 9-8 record and just miss the playoffs. I think if the offense looks anything like we see through 2 weeks, that's probably what you can expect from this team moving forward. But if they take a step forward, I mean, we saw that defense against Tampa's offense this past week. And I know Tampa was missing, some guys from that team, but they were suffocating them throughout the whole game. 13 points for Tampa's offense in that game. And the 1 touchdown drive came with the help of 2 ghost penalties. I just think that defense is going to be very, very good. And if the offense can get it together, people should have high expectations for this team.
I know it's only been 2 weeks, but what has been surprising what has been the most surprising thing that you've seen based off your expectations in the offseason?
I think I'm a little surprised at just how out of sorts this offense is. I didn't expect them to be as bad as they've been for stretches of these first 2 games. And I think a lot of that is the offensive line play has been hit or miss. They haven't been able to move the football on the ground, or they haven't even tried to in some cases, the fourth quarter against Tampa. I mean, Mark Ingram averaged 6 yards a carry and he got 10 carries. He basically stopped touching the ball in the fourth quarter. So, I think there's so much room for that offense to be good. And I know I've been harping on this a lot in the first 5 minutes of this call, but there's so much room for it to be good. And I think it's surprising that they've just been really out of sorts.
Yeah, we saw it. Like you said, we saw it in that fourth quarter. We saw what this offense can look like. And I just have to say that fourth quarter comeback would have been beautiful no matter what. But I know how Saints fans feel about the Falcons growing up in Atlanta. Like when the Saints came to town, that was always the hot game. Falcons fans and Saints fans, it is bitter. It is one of my favorite NFL rivalries because they get so petty, and having that fourth quarter comeback against the Falcons, if you're going to play one good quarter out of these first 8 quarters, I think you guys picked the right one for the drama and theatrics of it. Doing that to the Falcons in the fourth quarter was beautiful.
I got to say, as a Patriots fan, the 28-3 game, Saints fans bring that up way more than we do. The Saints fans have grabbed that 28-3 and they're like, this is ours now. You know what I mean?
I would say if you're looking at the on-field product right now, the Saints football players and football team hate the Buccaneers way more than they hate the Falcons, right? They absolutely despise those guys. But if you're just talking about the fan base, there's nothing more than this trolling Atlanta, and it is constant. Look, when they blew that 16-point fourth quarter lead, there's a bakery in town that just started selling sheet cakes with the 26-10 score.
Oh my god!
Selling out. Yeah, it's just they love trolling the Falcons fan base. It's just it's the second best part of football season down here, I think.
I love it.
Gotta ask you, I'm sure you get plenty of it out there, but we're a little more national. We cover everything. We cover a lot of fantasy football. So I got to ask you about this player. I'm sure you probably, maybe not tired of talking about him, but in the chat, 2 questions already, people saying, asking about Taysom Hill. And from what I've seen, there's 2 camps of people. There's people that want to see him used more, and then there's people that don't want to see him used at all. What are your thoughts on Taysom Hill? Do you think do you like when they utilize him, or you kind of like, you know what, let's get back to a normal offense? What are your thoughts on a guy like that?
No, I love Taysom Hill. I think he's a great football player, but he's got to be used in the way they used him against Atlanta, where you line him up in 4 different spots, and he's not just touching the ball when he's lining up as a quarterback in an obvious run situation. And that's what I think they used him really well against Atlanta, and he was on the field for probably, I think, 16, 17 snaps. And then against Tampa, he was on the field for 6 snaps, and half of those touches were in obvious situations where he's going to get the ball. So, look, I get I think the conversation around Taysom Hill just doesn't make sense to me. I think a lot of people don't like him because he's this guy who got a chance at quarterback, and they're like, well, he's not a quarterback. He's not a quarterback. It's like, yeah, okay, but like, just like put that out of your mind for a second and just like understand that he is a really good football player, a fun football player. Like watching Taysom Hill like bowl over people is
joy.
Pure theater. Like the guy just like absolutely crushes people, and it's fun. Like he's a fun player to watch. I don't think like in terms of fantasy purposes, I would have him on my team just because his role is so sporadic and you don't know what you're going to get from week to week. But just in terms of watching a guy play ball, like hell yeah, hey, give me some more of that. He's awesome.
Taysom's the kind of dude that'll like, he'll catch like a little out pass, right? And then they'll punt it and he'll go down and he'll make the tackle on the punt and strip the ball, and then the next play he'll run it in for a touchdown. Like he's just like like that meme that says, "What's your position?" Football player. Like that's Taysom Hill, dude.
Yeah, well, and he'll block a punt too. Like I mean, the guy is like all over the place. And one of the things that I'll never be able to get out of my mind when I'm thinking about Taysom Hill is the time that Sean Payton said he runs like Barney Rubble. Like the Flintstones character.
We were joking about that too. Like like that.
So like you watch him and you just like hear the like and then he's just like kind of like he's more like Bam Bam than anything. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
we were saying that last week. We were like, it's like you took a dude out of the 1940s and put him on the field. And every time I hear that, like the old timey Sam Spence music, like he gets the ball and you hear like like just like high knees. Like he's one of a kind, man. He's one of a kind.
Yeah, he really is. I think he's fun, and I think people need to just stop having this like existential conversation around him and just appreciate him for being a fun football player. That's my take.
It's us fantasy football guys, right? Like
we want to put him in a box.
We want
label him.
We want three guys in any given game. We want three guys to get everything. We want Alvin Kamara to get every run. We want Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry to catch every pass.
Jameis to throw over 1,000 yards.
Exactly. Like we don't want to be surprised in fantasy football, but in real life football, surprises are awesome.
Well, here's the thing though. If the emergency situation happens and both Jameis and Andy Dalton get hurt this year and Taysom has to play quarterback, at least he's got that tight end next to his name now, right? So you can get the quarterback points at tight end. That's what everybody's going for.
I did want to ask you about a tight end. I'm a big tight end guy. Like that's my main thing. And I've actually noticed that quietly the guy who has really good usage in terms of playing a lot of snaps at wide receiver, and I know he's a converted wide receiver, Juwan Johnson. What are the rumblings around him out there? Because his role seems to be drastically increased from last year.
Yeah, I think well, first of all, he finally has had a full offseason to learn the position. Like last year, he was just kind of learning it on the fly. They couldn't really trust him in a lot of like actual tight end situations where he has to block. So he was really just a glorified receiver, like a big body receiver last year. And I think he's had the full offseason. He's learned the position. He's gotten better as a blocker. They can depend on him more. And really, I think there's this level of trust between him and Jameis that the Saints like. I'm a big fan of Adam Troutman. I think Adam Troutman's a good football player. I think last year he was dealing with a lot of injuries people didn't know about, and it really affected his play. He had a very disappointing season. I thought he was ready for a bounce back. I thought he had a really nice camp as a receiver. He hasn't been thrown a single pass in 2 weeks, 0 targets and 58 offensive snaps. Juwan Johnson's their guy as a receiving tight end. Maybe this will change. Maybe that's like purely a matchup thing that they liked from the first 2 weeks. The Saints are kind of notorious for looking for matchups. It's how Sean Payton made his hay. But it's really hard to ignore the evidence. Juwan Johnson is leading the team in snaps, leading the team in targets at tight end. I think he's actually the only, outside of Taysom Hill, the only tight end with a target on the roster right now. And I think, if that's the way it's going to continue to trend, I think he's a pretty interesting option there because he's a huge red zone target. He's a very athletic receiving tight end, and Jameis really likes throwing to him.
Yeah,
he's done it a lot through 2 weeks. So really intriguing player.
I was a big Troutman guy, so it was in dynasty leagues. I think he's one of my most rostered players. Just someone that I thought, give it a couple years, and he's going to be the dude down there in New Orleans. So it's been surprising to see Juwan Johnson, but I'm with you. It's been fun to watch, and I think you're right. If this New Orleans Saints offense can get going, just like you said at the beginning, he is that big-bodied red zone threat, and maybe like how Jameis Winston used Mike Evans in the red zone down there whenever he was in Tampa Bay. We can see some of that here in New Orleans.
Yeah, I think so. And sorry, guys, my dog is joining the call here.
It's all right. We're a dog-friendly show.
So, I think that's kind of how they used him last year. That was like his whole role last year.
Yeah.
You get down in the red zone, they're like, okay, you're 6'5" with like a huge wingspan. We're just going to throw the ball up to you. And it worked a lot. But, obviously they haven't had a ton of red zone possessions this year, but I think that's probably a pretty solid role for them. They got some guys who can kind of outmuscle guys, like that tight end or that touchdown to Mike Thomas this past week that was just Jameis going like, I trust you. I'm going to throw it into like a window I probably shouldn't throw it into, and just trust you to go make a play on it. And that's kind of how they operate.
I need my Patriots to start doing that, man. Because Mac Jones, as a rookie, having a great completion percentage is great, but we need plays now, So
yeah,
I would like to see our guys a little more Jameis out of him, a little more Ryan Fitzpatrick out of Mac Jones. Let it fly, man. You got playmakers. Let somebody make a play.
Yeah, but I think Saints fans are probably hearing that, going like, "No, he just threw 3 picks. Like, stop it." They want to see they want to get back to like the Drew Brees thing, except they want to have a 74 completion percentage, but also be completing passes way downfield. They're like, why can't we have the best of both?
Why can't we just have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time? Why not? Right?
Easy.
Can we get Drew Brees? Can we get Drew Brees except he's throwing 65-yard bombs? Is that too much to ask?
So we had a question in the chat here. Tommy wanted to know Landry, Olave, or Thomas, who's going to end the season with the most yards? So we saw Olave's usage go up quite a bit in week 2. Do you think maybe that rookie has a shot, or is this going to go Michael Thomas's or Landry's way this year as the top receiver?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely going to go Mike Thomas's way.
Yeah,
look, he's had 2 pretty good games, and I don't think that's even close to what he's going to be this year. Because him and Jameis have been like kind of misfiring on some stuff. I think his catch rate is kind of down from what we've seen in previous like Mike Thomas GOAT years, right? And when you go back and look at it, like Jameis is just missing these throws.
Yeah,
like Mike is open, right? So I think he's going to get his 10 to 12 targets a game, and I think by the end of the season he's going to be catching 8 to 9 of those.
Absolutely.
And he's going to be their dude. Olave had 13 targets this last game, but really, I think it was kind of driven by what the Bucs were doing in coverage. They just kept leaving him in single coverage with no safety help, and they were like, okay, we're going to keep throwing bombs, and we're going to hit on one of them. And they ended up hitting on literally one, and Olave ended up fumbling. It was like 1 out of 6, but they were all there, right? And I think Olave is going to be that guy where, he might average 18 yards a catch by the time the season's over, because they're going to hit on a number of those deep throws. That's kind of what they're going to use him for, and those kind of that vertical element. But when it comes to just being consistently there, the guy they're going to go to when they need a big play, I think that's going to be Mike Thomas. I think Jarvis is going to have games like he had against Atlanta in week 1. He's going to have a couple of those throughout the season. And he's also going to have a couple of games like he had against Tampa, where he had 4 catches for 20 yards. I think it's a pretty clearly defined pecking order where it's Mike, and then it's, whoever else is open.
I got it. So Chris Olave is Brandon Cooks, and Jarvis Landry is Willie Snead, and Mike Thomas is Mike Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. Then.
Yeah.
That last one's a bit of a stretch, Coop. That last one you had to
I'm not
stretch
sure
a little bit
if
there.
you go apples to apples.
Mike Thomas is not rookie Mike Thomas. I think Mike Thomas is like the 2017-18 Mike Thomas, where he's getting a big target share.
Rowan Man,
I'll take
Mike
it.
Thomas.
I'll take it.
I like that, dude.
Also, we have a question in here from producer Keith. Before we hit that, though, for those of you just joining us, we are talking to Luke Johnson. He's a beat writer for the New Orleans Saints. Luke, the question we had for you was, what's the biggest difference you've noticed so far between Sean Payton and new head coach Dennis Allen? it's got to be a big change for the team there.
I think the point was that they didn't want a big change because look, Dennis spent 12 of his last 16 years as an assistant on Sean Payton's staff. Like that's how he came up through the ranks, right? And that's how he understood like a football operation should go. So like from a just big overarching perspective, it's very similar. Everything they have been doing is very similar to how they have done it in the past.
Yeah.
Why didn't Kevin James get the job?
It's a good question. I think it's because they portrayed his offices as being in the Superdome, which is like clearly, it's not.
That's where all NFL head coaches have their everyday office.
Their game day or their offices are in the big stadium.
The stadium penthouse.
I always pictured as a Patriots fan, I pictured Ernie Adams' office like under the stadium in like some like cell, like some like cage. Yeah, then they just come down.
Laboratory.
That one might actually be true.
Yeah, Belichick goes down there and like he pulls like a book out of the bookshelf and it like opens like a secret door and that's where they
then
keep.
He crawls into a dumbwaiter.
Yeah.
But they actually have that Batman technology, where they can spy on everybody through the cell phone signals and everything.
That's right. Yeah, he's a big wall.
Bill's in his control.
He's just looking at code like the Matrix.
Yeah.
I do want to say though that there's a big difference between Sean Payton and Dennis Allen in terms of mentality, right? And I do think that's had an impact on the organization. I think there's a lot less stress around there right now. Sean was a pretty volatile personality. I think Dennis is a lot more even keeled, and I think you can see that around. Obviously, if they start losing, you want to see how that changes, if at all. But I think as of right now, it's considered a positive for a lot of people, including the media. It's a little
what's
a little
the
easier
like, what's the general for fantasy? A lot of times we get hyper focused on like week to week or the season. A lot of times you miss that like broader context of the actual NFL team and what the NFL team is doing. What's their strategy? The Saints are a team that I don't feel like I have a good idea of what exactly, like what is their the strategy and how are they making decisions? Can you talk a little bit about like what the broader vision for this team is? Like where are they going? Where are they headed?
Like, do they view this as a Super Bowl team now? Like, are they sitting there thinking like this is a window for us, or is this something where they're like
stop the Sean Payton bleeding and do good enough to do well enough to stay afloat?
Yeah. So I think the reason probably the Saints are a hard team to read is because I think the way they view themselves is a lot different than the way a lot of people nationally view them.
Broader
right?
public.
Like a lot of people when they're like national football pundits, let's say, right, when they're looking at the Saints and they see them trading away a future first round pick to go move up and get Chris Olave, or going out and signing Tyrann Mathieu and Jarvis Landry this offseason, they're like, oh, what the hell are you doing? You're not a very good football team. Whereas the Saints look at themselves and they're like, we went 9-8 last year with 58 different starters. We had 4 different starting quarterbacks. Our kicker couldn't make a field goal for the first 8 weeks of the season. And, we still think we're pretty good. And, especially you got to consider that when the Saints were kind of crafting this vision for their team this year, a lot of that was happening when they were looking at their division and they're like, Carolina sucks, Atlanta sucks, Tom Brady just retired. They're like, are we going to tank it right now? And when everything is just wide open to us, and then Tom Brady comes back, obviously, and it changes the equation a little bit. But, they view themselves as like, they've got a lot of really good young talent on their team still. A lot of those guys are starting to get more expensive, obviously. They hit on that 2017 draft class, and that class has signed like $300 million in contracts. Ryan Ramczyk's a $95 million player. Marshawn Lattimore's a $95 million player. Alvin Kamara is $75 million. Marcus Williams, $70 million. Trey Hendrickson, $60 million. All those guys are in the same draft class, and most of them are playing for the Saints now. And a lot of these guys are getting more expensive. So I think it's getting harder to see the vision for that for a lot of people. But the Saints still think there's a way for them to kind of thread this needle, still be competitive, still be competing for at the very least a division title. And if things go right, maybe a Super Bowl. I think a Super Bowl is pretty optimistic for this team.
I want to see Jay the Super Bowl. That I
It's
like.
the
That's just
playoff
on my,
run. Oh, that would be
football
wild.
bucket list. Is I want to see Super Bowl, Jameis.
The speech, the speech would be amazing.
Crabs for everyone.
Yeah. Now, maybe Trevor Penning comes back, fills that little bit of that Teron Armstead hole, and it's possible, you know.
Kevin James leads this team out onto the Super Bowl field.
No, look. I think a Super Bowl is a really overly optimistic view for this team right now. But I think that a division title is still I think that's still possible. I think they could go 11-6 and win the division.
Absolutely. You saw your defense can hang with the Bucks already, right? Like you know that your defense can at least hang in there. If the offense can pull it together, why is that out of the question?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like that defense is so good, they're going to be competitive in every single game they play. You know, and you look at what they've done in the last couple of years. I mean, they've just absolutely terrorized these like Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I can think back to week 1 last year when they were fully healthy on defense and Aaron Rodgers putting up 3 points against them. You know, they shut out Tom Brady at home last year. I mean, they're so good defensively. I think they're even better this year than they were last year. That all they need is just competent offensive play. And you know, not putting up 3 points for the first 3.5 quarters albeit against a very good Bucs defense. They just missed some chances. So I think they'll be very good. I don't think they're Super Bowl caliber.
Absolutely. Luke, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on with us and talk some New Orleans Saints today. Really appreciate it. Everyone listening, if you're not following Luke on Twitter, go and fix it right now. He's on Twitter at @ByLukeJohnson. Luke, looking forward to seeing what the Saints have in store the rest of this season.
Yeah, me too. I'm curious to see what the hell they're actually going to be. Really nice.
Sweet.
Thanks, Luke.
Have a good rest of your day, Luke. Thank you so much.
What a good
man.
team.
I just love getting that little bit of the inside peek. I see Dave in the chat talking like I didn't even consider the landscape when I was thinking about what this team was considering. And that's a great point. I didn't look at that either. Like, of course, this team wasn't trying to like tank or rebuild this year. That seemed like a really winnable division with Tom Brady out of there, with Tom Brady retiring.
Great point. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, like they would have, if Brady had retired, they would have easily been the favorites to win the division. No question, dude. I love that.
I mean, that should affect some of your fantasy decisions, right? Because like we're in the game of predicting what people are going to do, what these NFL teams are going to do, and they're going to make a lot of these personnel decisions based off that kind of stuff. So
I love how Hal pops into the chat, shows up late to the show. Not a good time for hog talk. We'll be able to beat
glad you could
on.
join us, Hal.
We have the beat writers on. We do a quick pause of the hog talk to talk a little football, but now we're back to hog talk.
So that they'll come back on.
We did have a question in the chat that I wanted to get to. It's from our friend Justin. Justin said, I have both Kelsey and Pitts in my 10-team PPR league. I am 0-2. Who are some names I should be targeting with either one of those guys? My running backs are Eckler and Hall, and my wide receivers are Deontay and Debo. So maybe looking to upgrade at that RB2 spot, Breece Hall, or maybe that wide receiver 2 spot with Deontay. Coop, you've got Kelsey and Pitts. You're the tight end guy. What are you doing with those two with the idea of trading one of them?
If only there were some sort of like trade chart available with like numbers and things we could use to figure out. Oh, wait a second.
Shut up with your dreamy talk, Coop.
we have one of those here from our boy Peaked in high school. He's got Kyle Pitts, kind of where I have him. So I moved Darren Waller ahead just based on usage, but I still have Kyle Pitts in that 4-5 range for the time being. Surprisingly, his usage was better this past week, which it's so tough for a trade because people just see the targets. They don't see that he played 75% of his snaps at wide receiver this week. So kind of makes me want to say hold him for one more week, see if you can get the big week and then move him. But if I was going to move him now, I would try and go for, anybody you can get in that wide receiver 2 range. I wouldn't trade him for wide receiver 3. So I'd try and still get like a Michael Thomas, Rashad Bateman, Drake London, Jerry Jeudy. I'd see if I get somebody in that range, but it's hard right now. It's hard, right?
Yeah, 10-team league. I prefer to keep both of those tight ends because you have a slight advantage at the tight end position from your league mates. But if you're 0-2, I understand you might need to shift your strategy. I would be okay trading either of these guys. I think you'll probably get more for Travis Kelce's value. Kyle Pitts, according to these trade value charts, dropped about 10.5 points this past week. So
yeah, I'm God, it just seems like the worst time to trade Kyle Pitts. I'm with you. I think if you can move Kelsey for a top tier option like Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Swift, like if you can make a move like that, then I'm fine moving Kelsey since you have Pitts. But I'm not moving Pitts just to move Pitts. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning. 3 hours every day, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time, the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. So come back in with us tomorrow. Make sure you're sticking around here on Better Sports Network. Moose and Keith are coming up next. Then Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru after that. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show, and we will see you guys tomorrow.